Have you ever stood before a mirror, meticulously adjusting your clothes, practicing a smile, or perhaps subtly altering your posture? You're preparing for a job interview, a social gathering, or even just another day at work. But as you gaze at your reflection, a quiet question might whisper within. Is this truly me? Or am I perhaps putting on a performance, donning an invisible mask for the world to see? This seemingly simple act of preparation hints at a profound and universal human experience. The creation and presentation of what renowned psychologist Carl Jung termed the persona. It's the social mask we wear, the curated image we project to navigate the complexities of society, to fulfill roles, and to be accepted. We craft these personas for myriad reasons: to protect ourselves, to fit in, to achieve our goals, or simply to make sense of our place in the collective. But what happens when the lines between this outward presentation and our true self, the authentic, unvarnished core of who we are, begin to blur? What happens when the mask becomes so ingrained that we risk losing touch with the very essence of our being? This journey into the self, the exploration of our inner landscapes and the external facades we build, is not merely a psychological inquiry. It is a spiritual quest, deeply rooted in ancient philosophies, mystical traditions, and the very fabric of our energetic existence. From the wisdom of ancient mystics to the modern understanding of the law of attraction, humanity has long sought to reconcile the outer self with the inner truth. Why do we feel compelled to hide aspects of ourselves? What fears drive us to seek approval through constructed identities? And how does this perpetual act of masking influence our energy, our reality, and our connection to the subtle, unseen forces of the universe? This exploration will delve into the profound impact of our personas on our mental well-being, our relationships, and even our ability to manifest our desires. We will uncover how the vibrations we emit, whether authentic or performative, shape the very experiences we attract. We'll examine how ancient esoteric practices and the power of our subconscious, particularly through phenomena like dreams and soul travel, offer pathways to peel back these layers, revealing the boundless power of our true, unburdened selves. Join us as we embark on a transformative journey, seeking not to discard our masks entirely, but to understand them, to integrate our hidden aspects, and ultimately, to live from a place of profound authenticity, unlocking a deeper connection to the spiritual and mystical dimensions of life. The path to self-mastery begins with truly knowing who lies beneath the mask. The world, as Shakespeare famously declared, is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. This timeless observation resonates with a profound truth explored by depth psychology, particularly through Carl Jung's seminal concept of the persona. When we talk about the mask we wear, we're not speaking of literal disguises, but rather the psychological and social identity we present to the world. A carefully constructed facade designed for specific environments and interactions. It's the face we show, the role we play, tailored to meet the expectations of society, our professions, or even our closest relationships. Think of it this way. Imagine a brilliant, classically trained actor, someone whose raw talent is undeniable, yet in their daily life, they are acutely shy, perhaps even socially awkward. Offstage, they might stumble over words, avert eye contact, and find large crowds overwhelming. But when they step onto the stage, beneath the bright lights, something transformative happens. They might embody a towering king, a seductive villain, or a courageous hero. Every gesture, every word, every emotion is delivered with conviction and power. The shyness vanishes, replaced by a commanding presence. Is this actor being fake? Not necessarily. They are utilizing a persona, the character, to express a part of themselves that perhaps finds its truest voice only within the boundaries of a defined role. The stage gives them permission to be larger than life, to explore emotions and characteristics they might suppress in their personal interactions. This performance, this persona, allows them to connect with an audience, to fulfill their artistic purpose, and in many ways, to engage with the world in a manner they might otherwise find impossible. This analogy helps us grasp the essence of persona in our own lives. The word persona itself comes from Latin, originally referring to the theatrical mask worn by actors in ancient Greek and Roman dramas. These masks not only amplified their voices, but also clearly identified the character they were portraying. Similarly, our psychological personas serve as a bridge between our inner world and the outer reality. They are not merely superficial coverings. They are essential tools for social interaction, allowing us to navigate the complex web of human relationships without constantly exposing the raw, unfiltered entirety of our being. So, why do we bother crafting these intricate masks? The reasons are multifaceted and deeply ingrained in our psychological makeup and social conditioning. Primarily, the persona serves as a protective mechanism. The world can be harsh, judgmental, and demanding. Presenting a polished, composed, or agreeable front can shield us from criticism, rejection, or emotional vulnerability. If we show up as the strong one, the competent one, or the optimistic one, we might believe we are less likely to be hurt or exploited. It's a psychological armor, a boundary that helps us maintain a sense of safety in often unpredictable environments. Beyond protection, the persona is crucial for social adaptation. Every social setting, from a formal business meeting to a casual family dinner, comes with its own set of unwritten rules, expectations, and norms. To function effectively within these contexts, we subtly adjust our behavior, language, and even our emotions. At work, you might be the diligent, professional employee. At home, the nurturing parent. With friends, the carefree adventurer. These different versions of you are your personas in action, allowing you to seamlessly transition between roles and fulfill the demands of each. Without this adaptability, navigating social landscapes would be incredibly challenging, if not impossible. Imagine trying to explain complex quantum physics at a casual backyard barbecue, or trying to negotiate a high-stakes business deal using the same playful banter you'd use with your best friend. These extreme examples highlight the necessity of having appropriate personas for different situations. Furthermore, we create personas to achieve our goals. If you aspire to be a successful entrepreneur, you might cultivate a persona of confidence, resilience, and vision, even if internally you grapple with self-doubt. If you aim to be a compassionate healer, you might project an aura of empathy and calm. These personas aren't necessarily deceptive. Rather, they are strategic presentations that align with our aspirations and help us attract the opportunities and people necessary to reach them. They can act as a self-fulfilling prophecy, whereby acting as if we begin to embody the qualities we wish to cultivate. It's crucial to distinguish persona from mere dishonesty or outright deceit. While a persona can be used manipulatively, its inherent purpose is not to lie. A con artist deliberately creates a false identity to exploit others. Their intention is to deceive and harm. A healthy persona, however, is an aspect of our overall psychological structure that allows for functional social engagement. It's the difference between an actor playing a role and a person consciously misleading someone about who they are to cause harm. When we wear a persona, we are not necessarily pretending to be someone we are not. Rather, we are highlighting certain aspects of ourselves while downplaying others, or presenting the most appropriate version of ourselves for a given context. The professional you who gives a presentation at work isn't lying about being an introvert at home. They are simply activating the professional persona necessary for that specific task. The danger arises not from having a persona, but from over-identifying with it. When the mask becomes so fixed, so rigid, that we can no longer distinguish it from our authentic core, that's when we risk losing touch with our true self. It's like the actor who, after years of playing a single, dominant character, struggles to remember who they are when the lights dim and the applause fades. They've become so deeply immersed in the role that their own identity has been subsumed. Similarly, if our sense of self becomes entirely dependent on external validation, on maintaining a particular image, or on fulfilling a specific role, we become vulnerable to a profound sense of emptiness and disconnection when that external structure inevitably shifts or crumbles. Understanding the persona is the first critical step in a much larger journey of self-discovery. By recognizing the masks we wear and the reasons we wear them, we can begin to consciously choose how and when to deploy them, rather than being unconsciously driven by their demands. This awareness paves the way for us to delve deeper, to pull back the layers of social conditioning and expectation, and to reconnect with the authentic, vibrant, and boundless essence of our true self. It's a journey from the superficial to the profound, from the seen to the unseen, preparing us to understand the very core of our being that lies beneath every guise. If the persona is the mask we wear for the world, then the true self, or simply the self, is the authentic, unadulterated essence of who we are beneath all roles, expectations, and conditioning. It's the silent witness, the unchanging core that observes all our experiences, thoughts, and emotions, yet remains untouched by them. Across millennia, countless spiritual traditions and ancient philosophies have sought to define, understand, and ultimately connect with this profound inner truth. They've given it many names: the soul, the spirit, the Atman, the Buddha nature, the divine spark, the higher consciousness, but the underlying message is consistently the same. There is an immutable, eternal aspect of our being that transcends the temporary fluctuations of our personality and our physical existence. Consider the story of an ancient sage, weary of the world's endless demands and superficial pursuits. He withdraws from society, not out of rejection, but out of a profound yearning to discover what truly endures. He spends years in solitary meditation, observing his thoughts rise and fall like waves, acknowledging his emotions without clinging to them, and systematically letting go of every identity he once held dear. His lineage, his knowledge, his social status. With each layer shed, he feels closer to an underlying stillness, a vast emptiness that paradoxically feels more full and complete than anything he has ever known. In this profound quietude, he doesn't find something new. Rather, he uncovers what was always there, obscured by the noise and distractions of the external world. He realizes that the true source of his being isn't in his name, his possessions, or even his memories, but in the pure, unbound awareness that simply is. This realization is not intellectual. It's an experiential knowing, a deep resonance with the universal consciousness. So, what exactly is this self, and perhaps more importantly, what is it not? The self is not your job title, your bank account, your physical appearance, or your relationship status. It is not the opinions others hold of you, nor is it the collection of memories that form your personal history. It is not even the sum of your personality traits, your quirks, your habits, your preferences. While these are all aspects of your human experience, they are impermanent, subject to change, and ultimately, external to your true essence. In various ancient traditions, the self is often described in terms of its characteristics. Immutability. Unlike the ever-changing persona, the true self remains constant. It is the unmoving center in the midst of life's perpetual motion. Wholeness. It is complete and perfect as it is, requiring no external validation or addition. It contains all potential and wisdom. Interconnectedness. Many philosophies posit that our individual self is not separate from the universal consciousness or the divine. We are drops in the ocean, yet also contain the essence of the entire ocean. This is the foundation of spiritual unity. Awareness, consciousness. The self is often equated with pure, unconditioned awareness, the capacity to observe, to be present, without judgment or attachment. For example, in Buddhist philosophy, the concept of anatta, no self, might seem contradictory at first glance. However, it doesn't mean that there's nothing there. Instead, it emphasizes that there is no permanent, unchanging self in the sense of a fixed ego or individual soul that is separate from all phenomena. This doctrine aims to dismantle attachment to the illusory self, thereby revealing the interconnectedness of all things and leading to nirvana, a state of liberation. The ultimate truth is the impermanence and interconnectedness of everything, and by letting go of the clinging to a separate self, one merges with a greater reality. In Hinduism, particularly within the Upanishads, the Atman refers to the individual soul, or self, which is considered identical with Brahman, the ultimate reality, or universal spirit. The famous phrase, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, encapsulates this profound understanding that the individual soul is not distinct from the divine cosmic essence. The goal of life, according to this philosophy, is to realize this unity, to directly experience that your deepest self is the same as the divine creative force of the universe. Taoism, through concepts like the Tao, emphasizes aligning with the natural flow and rhythm of the universe. The true self in Taoism isn't something separate to be found, but rather the genuine, spontaneous expression of our nature when we are in harmony with the Tao. It's about letting go of artificial constructs and societal expectations to simply be like water flowing naturally, finding its path without force or resistance. The importance of connecting with this true self cannot be overstated. When we live primarily from our persona, driven by external validation and societal expectations, we often experience a deep sense of unrest, dissatisfaction, or emptiness. We might achieve material success, gain accolades, or accumulate possessions, yet still feel that something fundamental is missing. This is because the persona, by its very nature, is incomplete and reliant on external circumstances. Connecting with the true self, however, brings profound and lasting benefits: inner peace and contentment. When you understand that your worth is intrinsic and not dependent on external factors, a deep sense of peace settles within. You are no longer tossed by the winds of opinion or the vagaries of circumstance. Authentic purpose. The true self is inherently aligned with your unique purpose and calling. By silencing the noise of the persona and societal demands, you begin to hear the whispers of your soul's true desire, leading to a life filled with meaning and fulfillment. Unconditional love and acceptance. Connecting with the self cultivates self-love and acceptance, recognizing that you are inherently worthy, flaws and all. This self-acceptance then naturally extends to others, fostering deeper, more genuine relationships. Resilience. When external challenges arise, the person rooted in their true self has an unshakable inner anchor. They understand that difficulties are temporary and do not define their core being. They can navigate storms with grace and strength, knowing their essence remains untouched. True happiness. Happiness derived from external sources is fleeting. Happiness stemming from the true self is an enduring state of being, a natural byproduct of living in alignment with who you truly are. It's a joy that emanates from within, independent of possessions or achievements. The journey to unveil the true self is often described as an unlearning rather than a learning. It's about stripping away layers of false identities, conditioned beliefs, and egoic attachments that obscure our inherent brilliance. It's about remembering who we were before the world told us who we should be. It involves introspection, mindfulness, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. As we begin to differentiate the persona from the self, we embark on the most vital of human expeditions, the journey inward. This distinction isn't about eradicating the persona. Rather, it's about becoming conscious of its operation and ensuring that it serves the true self rather than dominating it. In the subsequent sections, we will delve into the dynamic and often tumultuous relationship between these two aspects of our being, exploring the conflicts that arise when the persona eclipses the self, and the path towards harmonizing this vital inner dance. The understanding of the true self is the foundational step towards living a life of profound authenticity, purpose, and spiritual freedom, unlocking the boundless potential that resides within each of us. Having explored the individual nature of the persona, the social mask we present, and the true self, our authentic inner core, it's time to examine the dynamic interplay between these two fundamental aspects of our being. This isn't a static relationship, it's a constant dance, sometimes harmonious, sometimes fraught with conflict, but always shaping our experience of the world and ourselves. Ideally, the persona and self exist in a symbiotic relationship, each supporting the other, allowing us to navigate life effectively while remaining true to who we are. Imagine a skilled dancer. Their movements are fluid, precise, and expressive, perfectly executed for the audience. This performance is their persona, carefully choreographed, practiced, and presented. Yet, beneath the costume and the spotlight, the dancer's true self, their passion, discipline, vulnerability, and artistic vision drives every step. The persona, the dance, allows the self, the artist's soul, to be expressed and experienced by others. Without the physical execution, the inner passion would remain unshared. Without the inner passion, the dance would be lifeless, a mere technical exercise. In this ideal scenario, the persona is a vehicle for the self, a bridge connecting the inner world to the outer stage. The dancer uses their public presentation to give form to their deepest artistic impulses, expressing their unique essence through a structured, socially acceptable medium. They are not pretending to be a dancer. They are a dancer, and their performance is an extension of that truth. This ideal, however, is often elusive. The relationship between persona and self is rarely so perfectly balanced. More frequently, we find ourselves in situations where the persona begins to overshadow the self, leading to a profound sense of internal dissonance and dis-ease. This occurs when we become overly identified with the roles we play, when external validation becomes the primary driver of our actions, and when the needs and desires of the persona consistently override the quiet whispers of our authentic being. When the persona dominates, the consequences can be insidious. We might experience a profound sense of loss of identity or direction. If our self-worth is solely tied to our career achievements, what happens when we retire, lose our job, or fail at a project? If our identity is wrapped up in being a perfect parent, what happens when our children grow up and no longer need us in the same way? The persona, being externally derived, is inherently unstable. When the external circumstances that define it shift, the person who is over-identified with it can feel utterly adrift, empty, and without purpose. They lose their anchor because their anchor was mistakenly placed outside themselves. Consider a person who dedicates their life to pursuing a prestigious career, driven by the desire for societal approval and financial success. They meticulously cultivate a persona of relentless ambition, unwavering confidence, and tireless work ethic. They suppress any doubts, anxieties, or desires for a simpler life. Believing these would be seen as weaknesses, they might achieve immense external success, promotions, accolades, wealth. Yet privately, they feel a deep sense of emptiness or unfulfillment. They might wonder, is this all there is? This is the classic conflict. The persona has achieved its external goals, but the true self is starved, neglected, and unheard. The disconnect creates a persistent ache, a feeling that something essential is missing. Despite all outward appearances of success, their true passions, their desire for genuine connection, their need for creative expression might have been sacrificed at the altar of this powerful persona. This internal conflict often manifests as a pervasive sense of anxiety, stress, and even depression. Living out of alignment with our true self is energetically draining. It's like constantly holding your breath or walking with a limp. It requires immense effort to maintain a facade that doesn't genuinely reflect who you are. The mental energy expended on performing can leave little room for authentic joy, genuine connection, or true relaxation. This constant tension between who we are and who we present ourselves to be creates a fertile ground for inner turmoil. We might find ourselves perpetually worried about being found out, about the mask slipping, leading to chronic fear and insecurity. Moreover, the dominance of the persona can severely impact our relationships. If we are constantly presenting a curated version of ourselves, how can others truly know or connect with us? Relationships built on personas are often superficial, lacking depth and genuine intimacy. We might find ourselves surrounded by people who like the mask we wear, but feel fundamentally misunderstood or lonely because our true self remains hidden. We become skilled at emotional suppression, unwilling to show vulnerability for fear it will shatter the carefully constructed image. This can lead to a profound sense of isolation, even within close relationships, as we inadvertently push others away by not allowing them to see or love our authentic, imperfect selves. Imagine someone who always plays the role of the strong one in their family. They might never express their own fears or sadness, always feeling the need to be the pillar of support. While this persona might seem admirable, it prevents genuine connection and can leave them feeling emotionally burdened and alone. The internal conflict also arises from the clash between external social pressures and the quiet, often ignored, promptings of the self. Society often rewards conformity, success as defined by material wealth or status, and adherence to established norms. These external pressures heavily influence the creation of our persona. We are taught early on what is acceptable, desirable, and successful. The persona becomes a tool for gaining approval and navigating these societal expectations. However, the true self often holds different values. It yearns for creativity, connection, freedom, meaning, and authenticity, which might not always align with the demands of the persona. The call of the self might be to pursue a less lucrative but more fulfilling passion, to prioritize personal growth over material gain, or to express an unpopular but deeply held truth. When these two forces clash, the persona striving for external validation, the self yearning for internal authenticity, the result is profound inner turmoil. It's the entrepreneur who secretly dreams of becoming a poet, the lawyer who yearns to live a simple life closer to nature, or the socialite who longs for genuine, quiet connection. The shoulds of the persona drown out the wants of the self. This internal battle is not merely psychological, it has an energetic cost. When we are not living in alignment with our true self, our energetic field can become discordant, blocked, or depleted. The constant effort of maintaining a persona that doesn't resonate with our core frequency creates resistance in our energy flow. This can manifest as physical fatigue, chronic illness, a general lack of vitality, or a feeling of being stuck. Our vibrational frequency, which is constantly interacting with the universe, becomes muddled, sending mixed signals that can actually attract more misalignment into our lives. When our persona is at odds with ourself, our internal compass is skewed, making it harder to attract what truly serves our highest good. Understanding this dance, and particularly recognizing when the persona has taken too much control, is the crucial step towards reclaiming our inner power and moving towards a life of greater coherence and fulfillment. It's not about demonizing the persona, but about becoming aware of its function and ensuring it remains a servant to our authentic self, rather than becoming its master. As we delve deeper, we will explore the roots of this disconnect, examining the social conditioning and inherent fears that drive us to build and cling to these elaborate masks, often at the expense of our true happiness. The journey back to self-alignment begins with acknowledging the imbalance. When the intricate dance between persona and self falls out of sync, and the mask we wear begins to obscure our true essence, the repercussions extend far beyond mere discomfort. This disconnect casts a long shadow, manifesting in profound psychological, emotional, and energetic consequences that can subtly, yet relentlessly, erode our well-being and distort our reality. The price of losing ourselves to our persona is a heavy one, often paid in the currency of unfulfillment, anxiety, and a deep gnawing sense of not being truly seen or understood. Consider the stark contrast of a seemingly successful individual, someone who has diligently cultivated an image of perfection, a high-powered career, a meticulously curated social media presence, perhaps even a picture-perfect family. To the outside world, they are the epitome of achievement and contentment. Yet, behind closed doors, a chilling emptiness pervades their existence. Despite all the external markers of success, they grapple with an overwhelming sense of anxiety and chronic worry. Every decision is a minefield of potential judgment, every social interaction a performance. They live in constant fear of their carefully constructed facade crumbling, revealing the perceived inadequacies beneath. This fear becomes a suffocating blanket, stifling spontaneity and genuine joy. They might experience sleepless nights, their minds racing with what-ifs and perceived failures, even when objectively, nothing is wrong. This isn't just everyday stress. It's a deep-seated apprehension that arises from living a life that isn't authentically their own. A constant vigilance against the exposure of their true, vulnerable self. This chronic anxiety can often escalate into depression, a pervasive state of low mood, loss of interest, and profound hopelessness. When the self is continuously suppressed in favor of the persona, it's akin to a plant being deprived of sunlight and water. It withers. The vibrant colors of life fade into a dull monochrome. There's a profound lack of purpose or meaning, even in activities that once brought joy. The goals achieved by the persona, the promotions, the material possessions, the social recognition feel hollow because they don't resonate with the deeper desires of the true self. The individual might ask themselves, is this all there is? Or why do I feel so empty despite having everything? This existential void is a direct consequence of neglecting the inner compass, of continuously chasing external definitions of success that are misaligned with their intrinsic values. They are living someone else's idea of a good life, and their soul is silently protesting. Furthermore, this disconnect manifests as a profound sense of isolation and emotional detachment, even when surrounded by people. While the persona might effortlessly navigate social circles, engaging in charming conversations and fulfilling social obligations, the individual often feels profoundly lonely. They fear true intimacy, knowing that deep connection requires vulnerability, a quality the persona is designed to suppress. They might have many acquaintances but few, if any, genuinely close relationships where they can drop the mask and be their authentic self. This self-imposed emotional barrier creates a chasm between them and others, reinforcing the very loneliness they dread. They crave genuine connection but are simultaneously terrified of it, trapped in a self-perpetuating cycle of surface-level interactions. The consequences also ripple through our relationships, turning potential avenues of support and love into sources of further strain. When we operate primarily from our persona, our interactions lack authenticity. We might struggle to form deep, meaningful bonds because we're constantly presenting a filtered version of ourselves. Our partners, friends, and family might feel that they don't truly know us, sensing a hidden wall or an inauthenticity they can't quite articulate. This leads to misunderstandings, resentment, and a lack of genuine empathy. Partners might feel confused by our seemingly inconsistent behavior, the loving persona at home, the ruthless executive at work, without understanding the underlying internal conflict. Children might struggle to connect with a parent who always presents a perfect facade, feeling unable to share their own imperfections. The relationship becomes a performance rather than an organic, evolving connection built on trust and mutual vulnerability. Over time, this erosion of authenticity can lead to strained or broken relationships, leaving both parties feeling unfulfilled and hurt. Beyond the psychological and relational toll, the disconnect between persona and self profoundly impacts our personal energy and overall vitality. Everything in the universe is energy, and our state of being, whether authentic or performative, directly influences our energetic frequency. When we live out of alignment with our true self, our energy becomes stagnant, blocked, or imbalanced. Imagine a river that's been dammed up. Its natural flow is disrupted, leading to stagnation and a buildup of debris. Similarly, suppressing our true emotions, desires, and expressions in favor of a persona creates energetic blockages within us. This can manifest as chronic fatigue, even after sufficient rest. We might feel a persistent sense of being drained, as if an invisible weight is constantly pressing down on us. Physical ailments that seem to have no apparent medical cause, such as chronic pain, digestive issues, or frequent illnesses, can often be the body's way of signaling this energetic misalignment. Our body, as a sensitive energetic system, mirrors the state of our inner truth. When our persona is demanding an excessive expenditure of energy to maintain its facade, there's less vital energy available for healing, joy, and authentic living. Moreover, this energetic imbalance impacts our ability to manifest and attract desirable outcomes. According to the law of attraction, we attract what we are, not merely what we want. If our core vibration is one of inauthenticity, fear of exposure, or suppressed desires, we will unconsciously attract experiences and people that mirror this internal state. We might wonder why we keep encountering similar frustrating situations, or why our efforts to create positive change seem to hit an invisible wall. The answer often lies in the discordant frequency we are emitting. If our persona is projecting confidence and success, but our true self is vibrating with fear and unworthiness, the universe receives mixed signals. It responds to the dominant, often subconscious, vibration of the true self, rather than the superficial projection of the persona. This can lead to a cycle of attracting experiences that reinforce our hidden beliefs and perpetuate the very suffering we wish to escape. We become stuck in a loop, seemingly unable to break free from patterns of disappointment or stagnation, all because our internal energetic alignment is compromised. The shadow of disconnect is not merely a philosophical concept. It is a lived reality for countless individuals. Recognizing these symptoms, the anxiety, the emptiness, the strained relationships, the energetic depletion, is the first, crucial step towards healing and realigning with our authentic power. It demands an honest, often uncomfortable, look at how we have allowed our external roles to define our internal reality. In the next stage of our journey, we will explore the deeply ingrained reasons behind this disconnect, examining the social conditioning and the primal fears that compel us to adopt and cling to these masks, even when they no longer serve our highest good. Only by understanding these roots can we begin the transformative work of dismantling the facade and liberating the vibrant, powerful true self that lies beneath. To understand why we wear the masks of persona, we must first delve into the powerful, often invisible forces that mold us from our earliest moments. Social conditioning. From the day we are born, we are immersed in a complex web of cultural norms, family expectations, educational systems, and societal values that subtly, yet profoundly, shape our behavior, beliefs, and ultimately, the personas we adopt. This conditioning is not inherently malicious. It's the process through which we learn to function within a community, to understand unspoken rules, and to gain acceptance. However, it also dictates what is considered good, bad, acceptable, or unacceptable, often leading us to suppress parts of our authentic selves that don't fit the mold. Imagine a young child, full of boundless curiosity and raw, unfiltered emotions. If they express intense joy by shouting in a quiet library, they're quickly taught to be silent. If they cry loudly when they're hurt, they might be told, "Big boys don't cry," or "Don't be so dramatic." These early lessons, while sometimes necessary for social harmony, begin to teach us that certain expressions of our true self are unwelcome. We learn to censor ourselves, to modify our responses, and to present a version of ourselves that garners approval and avoids punishment. This is the rudimentary building block of the persona. The family unit is often the primary architect of our initial personas. Children instinctively seek love and acceptance from their parents or guardians. They quickly learn what behaviors are rewarded and what behaviors lead to disapproval or withdrawal of affection. A child who is praised for being smart might develop a persona of intellectual superiority, even if they struggle with other areas. A child who is celebrated for being obedient might suppress their innate rebelliousness or independent thought. Family dynamics can create specific roles for each child: the responsible one, the joker, the peacemaker. And by adopting these roles, children secure their place and perceived value within the family system. This early imprinting often dictates the foundational elements of our adult personas, influencing how we seek love, avoid conflict, or strive for recognition. Beyond the family, the educational system plays a significant role. Schools, while crucial for intellectual development, are also powerful agents of socialization. They teach us conformity, discipline, and how to fit into a structured environment. Success is often measured by adherence to rules, academic performance, and fitting in with peer groups. Children who are naturally creative or unconventional might learn to suppress these traits to avoid being singled out or labeled as difficult. They develop personas that prioritize academic achievement or social popularity, often at the expense of their unique interests and passions. The pressure to conform to group norms, to avoid bullying, or to be seen as cool can lead adolescents to adopt personas that are wildly different from their true feelings, simply to survive the social hierarchy of school. As we mature, cultural and societal norms exert immense pressure. Every culture has its own set of values, expectations for gender roles, concepts of success, and definitions of beauty. In some cultures, individualism is celebrated. In others, collectivism and harmony are paramount. These overarching cultural scripts tell us how we should behave, how we should look, and what we should strive for. For instance, in many Western societies, There's a strong emphasis on independence, self-reliance, and material success. This can lead individuals to develop personas that project unwavering confidence, ambition, and a relentless pursuit of wealth, even if their inner self yearns for community, connection, or a simpler life. Conversely, in cultures that value humility and communal harmony, individuals might cultivate personas that downplay personal achievements to avoid appearing boastful, even if they harbor strong personal aspirations. The rise of mass media and, more recently, social media has intensified this conditioning to an unprecedented degree. We are constantly bombarded with idealized images and narratives of what constitutes a perfect life, a successful person, or an attractive individual. Magazines, television shows, movies, and advertising create aspirational personas that become benchmarks against which we unconsciously measure ourselves. We see flawless bodies, glamorous lifestyles, and seemingly effortless achievements, leading us to believe that this is the standard we must meet to be worthy of love, happiness, or recognition. Social media, in particular, has become a global stage for persona performance. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok encourage users to curate highly polished, idealized versions of their lives. We meticulously select photos, craft witty captions, and share only our highlight reel, creating a digital persona that often bears little resemblance to our lived reality. The pressure to gain likes, followers, and positive comments can drive individuals to present an inauthentic self, seeking validation from an anonymous audience. This constant performance for an online audience can exacerbate the disconnect between persona and self, leading to increased anxiety, depression, and a distorted self-image. The perfect vacation photos might hide profound marital problems. The successful entrepreneur posts might conceal crushing debt, and the happy influencer might be battling deep loneliness. Yet, we compare our raw, messy lives to these curated personas, leading to feelings of inadequacy and a further retreat into our own constructed facades. The problem with this pervasive social conditioning is that it often teaches us to value external validation above internal authenticity. We learn to mold ourselves into what others expect, rather than developing a strong sense of who we truly are. This leads to what might be called the chameleon effect, where we unconsciously change our colors to blend into every new environment. While adaptability is a valuable trait, constant chameleon-like behavior can leave us feeling disoriented, unsure of our true preferences, values, and desires. We become so adept at being what others want us to be, that we lose touch with what we want for ourselves. This constant performance and adaptation come at a significant cost to our true self. It stifles spontaneity, suppresses genuine emotions, and can lead to a profound sense of exhaustion. The energy required to maintain multiple, potentially conflicting, personas is immense. It's like constantly holding in a cough or biting your tongue. The effort adds up. Over time, this energetic drain can manifest as chronic fatigue, burnout, and a general lack of enthusiasm for life. Our inner voice, the subtle promptings of our true self, gets drowned out by the clamor of external expectations. Recognizing the pervasive influence of social conditioning is the first step towards liberating ourselves from its unconscious grip. It allows us to differentiate between who we are genuinely and who we've been told we should be. This awareness empowers us to question the narratives we've absorbed, to challenge the expectations placed upon us, and to consciously choose whether a particular persona truly serves our highest good, or if it's merely a relic of past conditioning that no longer aligns with our evolving true self. This critical self-reflection lays the groundwork for the deeper exploration of the fears that often compel us to cling to these masks, even when they cause us pain. By understanding the forces that shape our personas, we gain the power to reshape our lives with greater authenticity and purpose. Even after understanding how social conditioning shapes our personas, a deeper question remains. Why do we cling so tightly to these masks, even when they cause us discomfort or lead to a sense of disconnect? The answer lies in the powerful, often unconscious force of fear. Beneath every carefully constructed facade, every strategic presentation of self, there often lurks a profound anxiety about who we truly are, and what might happen if that raw, authentic self were to be fully exposed to the world. It is the fear of vulnerability, of judgment, of not being enough, or of losing the very things we strive to gain. Imagine a young artist, brimming with unique ideas and a distinctive style. They pour their heart and soul into their creations, which are deeply personal and reflect their true vision. However, when they consider sharing their work, a paralyzing fear sets in. What if others don't understand it? What if they laugh? What if they dismiss it as worthless? This fear of rejection and judgment can be so overwhelming that the artist chooses to either never show their work, or worse, to create art that is safe and conforms to popular trends, abandoning their authentic voice. They hide their true artistic self behind a persona of commercial viability, sacrificing their passion for perceived acceptance. This isn't just about art, it's a universal experience. We fear that if our authentic self is revealed, it will be met with scorn, ridicule, or outright dismissal. The persona, in this context, becomes a shield against this perceived onslaught, a way to control the narrative and minimize the risk of pain. This fear of judgment is intricately linked to the fear of not being accepted or loved. From childhood, we learn that acceptance, belonging, and love are often conditional. Be good, and you'll be loved. Succeed, and you'll be respected. These messages, subtle or overt, implant the idea that our worth is tied to our performance, our achievements, or our adherence to certain standards. Consequently, we develop personas designed to elicit approval. We become people pleasers, striving to be liked by everyone, even if it means sacrificing our own desires or opinions. We wear a mask of agreeableness, a veneer of cheerfulness, or an aura of competence, believing that these qualities are our tickets to belonging. The terrifying thought is that if we were to drop this mask, if we were to reveal our true imperfections, our doubts, our anger, or our less flattering traits, we would be abandoned, alone, and unloved. This primal fear of social ostracism is incredibly powerful, stemming from an evolutionary need for tribal belonging. In ancient times, being cast out meant death. Today, it translates into emotional isolation, which can feel just as devastating. Beyond external fears, there's also the profound fear of inadequacy or weakness. Many of us are taught, explicitly or implicitly, that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness. Men might be told to be strong and not cry. Women might be encouraged to be resilient and put on a brave face. These societal pressures compel us to construct personas of unwavering strength, invulnerability, and capability. We fear that if we admit to feeling overwhelmed, confused, or unsure, we will be perceived as incompetent, incapable, or less than. We become masters of suppression, pushing down our anxieties, our insecurities, and our genuine struggles, lest they shatter the image of strength we've so carefully cultivated. This creates a deeply isolating experience, as we carry our burdens in silence, denying ourselves the support and connection that vulnerability can bring. The persona of strength, while outwardly impressive, can be a heavy prison for the true self that yearns for authentic connection and support. Another significant fear is the fear of failure. In societies that heavily emphasize achievement and success, failure is often demonized. It's seen as a personal flaw, a mark of shame. To avoid this perceived disgrace, we might adopt personas of perfectionism, taking on only tasks where success is guaranteed, or meticulously planning every detail to prevent any misstep. We might even avoid pursuing our true passions if they involve a high risk of failure, opting instead for safer, more predictable paths that maintain our flawless image. This fear can stifle creativity, limit growth, and prevent us from taking the leaps of faith necessary for true fulfillment. The persona of always successful or never makes mistakes becomes a cage, preventing genuine learning and growth, which inherently involve trial, error, and vulnerability. Paradoxically, some of us also harbor a fear of success, or more accurately, a fear of our own power and potential. This isn't about consciously wanting to fail, but an unconscious resistance to stepping into our full brilliance. If we truly embody our authentic power, it might disrupt existing relationships, challenge comfort zones, or demand a level of responsibility we unconsciously shy away from. It might mean outshining others, which can trigger fears of envy or isolation. So, we might dim our light, wear a persona of modesty or self-deprecation, to avoid the perceived danger of standing out too much. This fear stems from deeply ingrained beliefs about unworthiness or the idea that it's not safe to shine. The powerful desire for belonging and social connection also plays a significant role in motivating the creation of personas. Humans are inherently social beings. Our survival and well-being have historically depended on being part of a group. This deep-seated need drives us to conform, to adapt, and to present ourselves in ways that facilitate acceptance. We want to be part of the in-group, to have friends, to find a partner, to be part of a community. The persona acts as our passport to these social circles, allowing us to navigate the complex rituals of social interaction. We mimic the behaviors, adopt the slang, and even feign interest in topics that don't truly resonate with us, all in the service of fitting in. The fear of being an outcast, of standing alone, can be a profound motivator for maintaining these social masks, even if they feel inauthentic. Beyond these external fears, there's a subtler, yet equally potent, internal fear, the fear of confronting our own true self. This can be terrifying because our true self often holds aspects we've long denied or deemed unacceptable. It might contain vulnerabilities we've suppressed, emotions we've deemed bad, or desires that conflict with our carefully constructed image. Facing our shadow self, the unconscious aspects of our personality that the ego tends to reject or repress, can be an intensely uncomfortable process. It requires courage to look honestly at our own flaws, our past mistakes, our unspoken resentments, or our unfulfilled desires. The persona becomes a convenient hiding place, allowing us to avoid this internal confrontation. We prefer the comfortable, albeit stifling, familiarity of the mask to the unsettling prospect of radical self-acceptance. These fears are not abstract concepts, they are deeply felt, often operating below the level of conscious awareness. They are the invisible chains that bind our true self, keeping it hidden behind the facade. Recognizing and naming these fears is the critical first step towards dismantling their power. It allows us to approach ourselves with compassion, understanding that our personas were often created as protective mechanisms in response to perceived threats. They served a purpose, perhaps even kept us safe at one point. However, once we become aware of them, we gain the choice. We can begin to question whether these fears are still valid, whether the threats are still real, and whether the persona is still serving us or merely imprisoning us. The journey to authenticity is not about eradicating fear entirely, but about developing the courage to act in spite of it, to take small, consistent steps towards revealing our true self. This process involves self-compassion, gentle exploration, and a willingness to embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. By acknowledging the fears behind the facade, we open the door to liberating our true power and living a life that is genuinely our own. The next step is to courageously face and integrate these hidden aspects of ourselves, paving the way for true wholeness. Having explored the fears that compel us to construct and cling to our personas, we arrive at a critical juncture in the journey of self-discovery, confronting and embracing the shadow self. Coined by Jung, the shadow self refers to the unconscious aspects of our personality that the conscious ego tends to reject, repress, or deny. It comprises everything we deem unacceptable about ourselves, our perceived flaws, weaknesses, undesirable traits, selfish impulses, hidden aggressions, embarrassing memories, or even untapped potentials and positive qualities that we have suppressed due to fear or social conditioning. It's the dark side of ourselves, not necessarily evil, but simply the parts we keep hidden from the world, and often from ourselves. Imagine a highly successful executive, renowned for their calm demeanor, rationality, and unwavering professionalism. They are the epitome of composure, never showing anger or vulnerability. Yet, beneath this polished exterior, they might harbor intense, unacknowledged feelings of resentment towards rivals, deep-seated insecurities about their intelligence, or a suppressed desire for creative expression that was deemed impractical early in life. These hidden aspects form their shadow. When a situation triggers these denied emotions, perhaps a perceived slight or a moment of failure, they might experience an intense, disproportionate outburst of anger, a sudden wave of self-doubt, or a strange, inexplicable urge to abandon their career and pursue an artistic hobby. These are manifestations of the unintegrated shadow, parts of themselves trying to break free from repression. The reason we create a shadow is simple. From childhood, we learn that certain behaviors and emotions are rewarded, while others are punished or shamed. A child who expresses anger might be told they are naughty. A child who shows fear might be called cowardly. To gain love, approval, and acceptance, we begin to push these bad parts into the unconscious. We deny their existence, pretending they aren't part of us. Over time, these repressed aspects accumulate, forming a powerful, autonomous complex within the psyche, the shadow self. The persona then acts as the gatekeeper, meticulously preventing these hidden aspects from surfacing and disrupting our carefully constructed image. However, the longer we deny and repress our shadow, the more power it gains. It doesn't disappear. It simply operates from the unconscious, often sabotaging us in unexpected ways. Unacknowledged anger can manifest as passive aggression, chronic irritability, or physical illness. Suppressed insecurity can lead to self-sabotage, an inability to receive compliments, or a constant need for external validation. Denied creative impulses can result in a pervasive feeling of boredom, apathy, or a lack of fulfillment. When our shadow is unintegrated, we project its qualities onto others, seeing in them the very flaws we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. This is why we often find ourselves intensely irritated by certain traits in other people. They might be mirroring aspects of our own unacknowledged shadow. The importance of facing and integrating the shadow self cannot be overstated. It is a crucial step towards psychological wholeness and true authenticity. Jung believed that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Integrating the shadow doesn't mean becoming your negative traits. It means acknowledging their existence, understanding their origins, and consciously choosing how to respond to them. It's about bringing light to the hidden corners of your psyche, thereby diminishing their power over you. So, how do we begin this often uncomfortable, yet ultimately liberating process? Awareness and recognition. The first step is to become aware that you have a shadow and to identify its contents. Pay attention to your strongest emotional reactions, especially those disproportionate to the situation. What irritates you most about others? What do you envy? What qualities do you vehemently deny possessing? These can be clues to your unacknowledged shadow. Journaling, dream analysis, as we will discuss later, and working with a therapist can be invaluable tools for this self-exploration. For instance, if you constantly criticize others for being lazy, explore if there's a part of you that secretly yearns for rest but fears judgment for not being productive. Acceptance, not condemnation. Once you identify an aspect of your shadow, the key is to accept it without judgment. This is perhaps the most challenging part. Our natural inclination is to condemn or feel shame about these dark parts. However, acceptance doesn't mean endorsing destructive behavior. It means acknowledging that this impulse, this emotion, or this desire exists within you. It's saying, yes, this is also a part of me. Forgiving yourself for past actions driven by unintegrated shadow aspects is also crucial. Recognize that these parts emerged from a place of seeking safety or fulfilling unmet needs, however misguidedly. Integration, not expression. Integrating the shadow is not about letting your suppressed aggression run wild or acting on every negative impulse. It's about bringing these unconscious energies into conscious awareness so you can choose how to express them constructively. For example, if you acknowledge a repressed aggressive impulse, you might channel that energy into assertive communication, defending boundaries, or tackling challenging projects with determination, rather than letting it fester into passive aggression or explosive outbursts. It's about transforming the raw energy of the shadow into a powerful force for personal growth. Embracing polarities. The shadow often contains the opposite of what your persona represents. If your persona is all about niceness, your shadow might contain anger. If your persona is confident, your shadow might hold deep insecurity. Integration involves realizing that you are both. You can be kind and assertive, confident and humble. This embrace of polarities leads to a more nuanced, complex, and resilient sense of self. It allows you to become more flexible and less rigid in your self-perception, truly embodying the idea that wholeness includes all aspects of who you are. Consider the suggested story of someone who always projects an image of unwavering strength. They never complain, always offer solutions, and suppress any feelings of weakness or fear. This public persona is built on the denial of vulnerability. Their shadow, therefore, contains all the unspoken fears, the moments of doubt, the desire to lean on others. By acknowledging this shadow, perhaps through a crisis that forces them to confront their limitations, they begin to integrate it. They might start by admitting to a trusted friend that they are struggling, allowing themselves to cry, or seeking help for the first time. This act of vulnerability, initially terrifying, is incredibly liberating. It doesn't diminish their strength, it makes it more authentic and relatable. They become whole, not by eliminating their weaknesses, but by accepting them as part of their human experience. This acceptance allows them to access a deeper well of compassion, both for themselves and for others. Embracing the shadow also has profound implications for our energetic alignment. When we repress parts of ourselves, we create energetic blockages within our system. This constant internal battle, the conscious ego fighting against the unconscious shadow, consumes immense amounts of vital energy. It creates dissonance in our energetic field, lowering our overall vibrational frequency. When we bring these hidden aspects into the light of consciousness, we release this stagnant energy. The fragmented parts of our psyche are brought back into coherence, allowing energy to flow freely and raising our vibration. This inner harmony is not only crucial for mental and emotional well-being, but also directly impacts our ability to manifest our desires through the law of attraction, which thrives on clarity and authentic resonance. The journey of shadow integration is a continuous one, not a one-time event. As we grow and evolve, new aspects of our shadow may reveal themselves. It requires courage, self-compassion, and a commitment to ongoing introspection. But the rewards are immense. Genuine authenticity, profound self-acceptance, increased resilience, and a powerful sense of wholeness. When we integrate our shadow, we reclaim the immense energy and wisdom held within these denied parts, transforming them from hidden adversaries into valuable allies. This process of deep inner work lays the essential groundwork for understanding how our internal state, particularly our authenticity, directly impacts our external reality through the principles of the law of attraction, which we will explore next. Having journeyed through the intricate landscape of the persona and the true self, and understood the profound implications of an unintegrated shadow, we now arrive at a pivotal concept that bridges our inner world with our outer reality: the law of attraction. This universal principle suggests that like attracts like. Our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and dominant energetic vibrations manifest as our life experiences. While often discussed in terms of material desires, its deepest and most profound application lies in its relationship with our authentic self. When we live out of alignment with our true essence, our manifestations can become distorted, delayed, or even contradictory to our conscious desires. Consider a person who desperately wants to find a loving, committed relationship. On the surface, they might actively pursue dates, express their desire for partnership, and even visualize their ideal relationship. However, if their persona is built on deep-seated insecurities, a fear of vulnerability, or a belief that they are not truly worthy of love, aspects of their unintegrated shadow self, their core energetic vibration tells a different story. Despite their conscious efforts, they might consistently attract partners who are unavailable, emotionally distant, or who reinforce their hidden fears. The law of attraction isn't responding to their superficial desire. It's responding to the dominant, underlying frequency of their inauthentic self. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, reflects back not what we say we want, but what we are vibrating at our core. This highlights a critical point. Why living from a fake persona attracts unwanted experiences. When we present a false front, we are sending mixed signals to the universe. Our conscious thoughts might be positive, focused on abundance or love, but our underlying emotional state, driven by the need to maintain a facade and suppress our true feelings, vibrates at a lower, discordant frequency. This internal conflict creates energetic static, preventing clear manifestation. Imagine trying to tune into a radio station when there's severe interference. The message becomes garbled or entirely lost. Similarly, when our authentic vibration is obscured by the noise of an inauthentic persona, the universe cannot clearly receive our true desires, and consequently brings us experiences that match our actual energetic state rather than our expressed wishes. For example, a person might cultivate a persona of constant positivity and cheerfulness, always smiling and downplaying any struggles. They genuinely desire a life filled with joy and ease. However, if this persona is a mask for deep-seated sadness, unresolved grief, or chronic anxiety, their unacknowledged shadow, the law of attraction will respond to the underlying vibration of sadness and anxiety, not the superficial cheerfulness. They might find themselves repeatedly encountering situations that trigger their sadness, people who mirror their anxiety, or circumstances that prevent them from experiencing true ease. Despite their conscious efforts to think positive, the suppressed emotions act like a magnet, drawing in experiences that reflect that hidden frequency. Conversely, when we begin to live from our authentic self, in alignment with our true values, desires, and inherent worth, our energetic vibration becomes clear, coherent, and powerful. This is where the magic of the law of attraction truly begins to unfold. Clarity of intention. When you are rooted in your authentic self, your desires stem from a place of genuine purpose and passion, not from external pressures or a need to impress. This clarity of intention creates a powerful, focused energetic signal. You're not just wanting success, you're wanting the kind of success that truly resonates with your soul's purpose. Emotional alignment. Living authentically means your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in harmony. When you genuinely feel worthy, joyful, and abundant from within, your emotions align with your desires, amplifying your energetic output. This emotional resonance is a key ingredient for powerful manifestation. The universe responds to the feeling behind the thought. Reduced resistance. The constant effort of maintaining a persona creates immense internal resistance. When you drop the mask and embrace your true self, this resistance dissolves. Energy flows freely, and you stop unconsciously blocking the very things you desire. It's like removing an invisible barrier that was holding you back. Magnetic resonance. An authentic, high-vibrational self acts like a powerful magnet. It naturally attracts people, opportunities, and circumstances that are in resonance with its true frequency. When you embody abundance, you attract abundance. When you embody love, you attract love. This isn't forced. It's an organic, effortless process. Consider the suggested story of someone who, instead of chasing external validation or superficial desires, focuses solely on living truly aligned with their values. Perhaps they were once driven by the need for financial success and status, adopting a ruthless business persona. This brought them wealth but left them empty. Through introspection, they discover their true self yearns for creativity, contribution, and deep connection. They decide to leave their high-paying job to pursue a less conventional path, perhaps starting a non-profit organization or becoming an artist. Initially, this might seem counterintuitive to success as conventionally defined. However, by living in alignment with their authentic self, their energetic vibration shifts dramatically. They are no longer operating from a place of fear or external pressure, but from joy, purpose, and genuine passion. What happens next can seem miraculous, but it's simply the law of attraction at work. They effortlessly connect with like-minded individuals who share their vision, forming a strong, supportive community. Opportunities for collaboration, funding, or artistic expression seem to appear out of nowhere. Their work, born from authentic passion, resonates deeply with others, attracting unexpected support and recognition. They might not achieve the same type of financial wealth as before, but they experience a profound sense of inner abundance, fulfillment, and joy that far surpasses any material gains. Their success becomes sustainable and deeply satisfying because it flows from their authentic core. This isn't about magical thinking. It's about understanding the fundamental principles of energy. Every thought, emotion, and belief carries a unique energetic signature. When we live from our persona, we often hold conflicting beliefs and emotions. I want to be loved, conscious desire, versus I am not worthy of love, unconscious belief, driven by fear within the shadow. This dissonance cancels out our manifestation power. However, when we integrate our shadow and embrace our authentic self, these inner conflicts resolve. Our energetic signal becomes clear and strong, consistently broadcasting what we genuinely are and what we truly desire. The process of aligning with the law of attraction through authenticity requires courage. It means radical self-acceptance, embracing every part of yourself, including the shadow aspects you've previously denied. This acceptance removes internal resistance and allows your true energetic frequency to shine. Living your truth. Making choices, big and small, that align with your deepest values and desires, even if they go against societal expectations or comfort zones. This might involve setting boundaries, saying no to things that drain your energy, or pursuing passions that seem impractical. Emotional honesty. Allowing yourself to feel all emotions, rather than suppressing negative ones behind a positive persona. Processing emotions creates energetic flow and releases blockages. Cultivating high vibrational states. Engaging in activities that genuinely bring you joy, peace, and love, as these elevate your energetic frequency. This can include meditation, spending time in nature, creative expression, or meaningful connections. The journey to manifest from within is a journey of unwavering self-discovery and self-alignment. It requires us to shed the layers of inauthenticity and to embrace our true power. When our internal world is coherent and resonating with our authentic frequency, the external world has no choice but to reflect that truth back to us. We stop chasing external validation and instead become a beacon, naturally attracting the experiences, relationships, and abundance that are in perfect harmony with our liberated self. This understanding of energetic vibration is crucial, as it underpins not only manifestation, but also our very state of being, which we will explore in the next section. In our exploration of the persona and the true self, we've touched upon the concept of energy and its profound influence on our reality, particularly in relation to the law of attraction. Now, let's dive deeper into the very essence of this phenomenon, energetic vibrations. At its core, the universe is a symphony of energy, and everything within it, from the chair you're sitting on to the thoughts swirling in your mind, is vibrating at a specific frequency. This isn't just a mystical idea. It's a principle recognized by both ancient wisdom traditions and modern quantum physics. Understanding this fundamental truth is key to grasping how authenticity directly translates into our experience of life. From a scientific perspective, quantum mechanics tells us that matter is not solid in the way it appears. It's energy vibrating at different speeds. Atoms, the building blocks of everything, are mostly empty space, with tiny particles constantly in motion. The difference between a rock, a tree, and a human being lies in the frequency and pattern of these vibrations. Similarly, our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not just abstract concepts, they are also forms of energy, each carrying its own unique vibrational signature. Positive emotions like joy, love, and gratitude vibrate at a higher frequency, while negative emotions like fear, anger, and shame vibrate at lower frequencies. Consider the simple analogy of a musical instrument. A guitar string, when plucked, produces a specific note. That note is determined by the string's tension, length, and thickness, its inherent vibrational frequency. If the string is out of tune, it produces a discordant sound. If it's perfectly tuned, it resonates beautifully and can even cause other, perfectly tuned strings on different instruments to vibrate in sympathy. This concept of resonance is critical. When two things vibrate at similar frequencies, they resonate with each other, amplifying their effect. This brings us to the vibrational frequencies of persona and self. The persona, being a constructed facade, often carries a lower or more discordant frequency. It's built on external expectations, fears of judgment, and the suppression of authentic emotions. When we are operating predominantly from our persona, we are expending vast amounts of energy to maintain an image that doesn't fully align with our true inner state. This effort creates internal resistance and a subtle sense of inauthenticity. Imagine our guitar string being constantly pulled out of tune by external pressures. The sound it produces will be strained and unnatural. The persona's frequency is often characterized by contradiction, saying one thing but feeling another; suppression, holding back true emotions or thoughts; fear, underlying anxiety about exposure or inadequacy; external reliance, seeking validation from outside sources. These qualities contribute to a vibration that is often lower, heavier, and less coherent. When we vibrate at a lower frequency, we naturally attract experiences and circumstances that match that vibration. This might manifest as feeling stuck, experiencing frequent conflicts, encountering obstacles, or attracting relationships that lack depth and authenticity. The universe is simply reflecting the vibrational signal we are sending out. If our dominant signal is one of fear or pretense, that's what we draw towards us. The true self, on the other hand, vibrates at a much higher, clearer, and more harmonious frequency. It is the frequency of authenticity, love, joy, peace, and inherent worth. When we are connected to our true self, we operate from a place of genuine alignment. There is no internal conflict between who we are and who we present ourselves to be. This coherence allows our energy to flow freely, creating a powerful, magnetic resonance. Our guitar string is perfectly tuned, producing a clear, beautiful note that easily resonates with other high vibrational energies. The true self's frequency is characterized by coherence. Thoughts, feelings, and actions are aligned. Authenticity, expressing oneself genuinely without pretense. Love and acceptance, radiating self-love and compassion for others. Inner guidance, trusting intuition and inner wisdom. Openness and flow, allowing energy to move freely without resistance. When we resonate at this higher frequency, we naturally attract experiences that are in harmony with our authentic being. This means attracting more joyful opportunities, forming deeper and more meaningful relationships, experiencing greater ease and flow in life, and manifesting our desires with greater speed and precision. The universe, like a cosmic tuning fork, responds to our clear, high-frequency signal, reflecting back more of the positive, authentic reality we are emitting. So, how do we raise our vibrational frequency by living true to our authentic self? It's an ongoing practice of self-awareness, acceptance, and intentional living. Conscious awareness of thoughts and emotions. Our thoughts and emotions are powerful vibrational tools. Start paying attention to what you're thinking and feeling. Are your thoughts predominantly negative, critical, or fear-based? Do you often feel drained, anxious, or resentful? Acknowledging these lower vibrations without judgment is the first step. Then, consciously choose to shift your focus towards thoughts and feelings that uplift you. This doesn't mean ignoring reality, but rather finding perspectives that empower you. Radical self-acceptance and shadow integration. As discussed, repressing parts of ourselves, especially our shadow, creates energetic blockages. When we acknowledge and accept all aspects of ourselves, the good and the bad, we release this resistance. This act of self-love and integration allows energy to flow freely, instantly raising our vibration. Imagine clearing debris from a river. The water then flows effortlessly, living in alignment with your values. Authenticity means making choices that resonate with your deepest values, even if they're not popular or easy. When your actions align with your true beliefs, you experience inner harmony, which translates to a higher vibration. This might mean saying no to commitments that drain you, pursuing a passion even if it's not lucrative, or speaking your truth even when it's uncomfortable. Practicing gratitude. Gratitude is one of the quickest and most powerful ways to shift your energetic frequency. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you move from a state of lack to a state of abundance, instantly raising your vibration. Keep a gratitude journal, or simply take a few moments each day to genuinely appreciate the good things in your life. Engaging in joyful activities. What truly lights you up? What activities make you lose track of time? Pursuing hobbies, creative endeavors, or spending time in nature. Anything that brings you genuine joy and connects you to your inner child will naturally elevate your energetic state. These are moments when your persona can truly drop and your true self can simply be. Mindfulness and meditation. These practices cultivate presence and allow you to observe your thoughts and emotions without getting entangled in them. By creating space between your conscious awareness and your internal chatter, you can choose to identify with your unchanging true self rather than the fleeting thoughts and feelings of your ego or persona. This detachment helps you to maintain a higher, more stable vibrational frequency. Physical well-being. Our physical body is the vessel for our energy. Eating nourishing foods, getting sufficient sleep, and engaging in physical activity all contribute to a healthier, higher vibrational body, which in turn supports a higher vibrational state of being. The concept of energetic vibrations transforms our understanding of reality. It reveals that we are not merely passive observers of life. We are active co-creators, constantly emitting a frequency that shapes our experiences. When we consciously choose to dismantle the inauthentic persona and live from the clear, resonant frequency of our true self, we become incredibly powerful magnets for the life we truly desire. This isn't about trying to be positive. It's about being authentic and allowing that authenticity to naturally elevate our energetic signature. This profound energetic alignment is also what allows us to tap into subtle realms of consciousness, such as those accessed through dreams, which often serve as vital messengers from our deeper self, a topic we will explore next. As we delve deeper into the intricate relationship between our conscious persona and our authentic true self, we encounter one of the most mysterious yet profoundly insightful pathways to inner wisdom: dreams. Far from being mere random firings of the brain, dreams are universally recognized across ancient spiritual traditions, modern psychology, and various mystical schools as powerful messages from our subconscious mind, a direct line to the unadulterated self. They serve as a vital bridge, revealing hidden truths about our fears, desires, unintegrated shadow aspects, and even offering guidance and insights that our waking persona might deliberately ignore or suppress. Consider the classic story of a highly rational, logically driven individual, perhaps a scientist or a business strategist, who prides themselves on their pragmatic approach to life. They consciously dismiss anything supernatural or intuitive. Yet, for weeks, they're plagued by a recurring dream. They are trying to cross a raging river, but the bridge keeps collapsing, or they find themselves desperately searching for something lost in a dense fog. In their waking life, their persona maintains composure, but the dreams reveal an underlying sense of being overwhelmed, lost, and unable to bridge a significant gap in their life, perhaps a profound emotional challenge they've been rationalizing away, or a major decision they're avoiding. The river might symbolize uncontrolled emotions or an inevitable transition. The collapsing bridge their fear of failure or a lack of support, and the fog their confusion or unwillingness to see a difficult truth. Their conscious mind, persona, denies the problem, but their subconscious, true self, is desperately trying to communicate the urgency of the situation through these vivid, symbolic narratives. This illustrates the primary function of dreams. They are a direct line to the unconscious and the true self. Our conscious mind, dominated by the persona, operates within the confines of logic, societal expectations, and rational thought. It filters information, often suppressing inconvenient truths or uncomfortable emotions to maintain our preferred self-image or to navigate social situations smoothly. The subconscious, however, has no such filters. It speaks in the universal language of symbols, metaphors, and archetypes, weaving narratives that directly address our deepest concerns, anxieties, and unfulfilled potentials. Dreams are not literal, they are symbolic. They don't typically tell you straightforward answers like quit your job tomorrow. Instead, they offer rich, layered imagery that requires interpretation. A recurring symbol in your dreams, like a specific animal, a house, a body of water, or a particular person, can represent different facets of your psyche, unresolved issues, or even external situations you need to address. For instance, houses often symbolize the self, with different rooms representing different aspects of your personality or life. Water can represent emotions, with calm water indicating emotional peace and turbulent water suggesting inner turmoil. Animals can embody instinctual drives or specific qualities you need to embrace or acknowledge. Shadow figures or threatening characters in dreams often represent unintegrated aspects of your own shadow self, urging you to acknowledge and integrate them. How do we begin to solve these subconscious riddles and use dreams to understand ourselves better? Dream recall. The first step is to consistently record your dreams. Keep a journal by your bedside and write down everything you remember immediately upon waking, even fragments. Don't worry about making sense of it, just get it down. Over time, your dream recall will improve. Identify key symbols and emotions. As you review your dreams, note recurring symbols, colors, places, people, and especially the dominant emotions you felt within the dream. These are often the most potent clues. How did you feel when the bridge collapsed? What was the prevailing mood in the strange house? Personal associations. Dreams are highly personal. A symbol might mean something entirely different to you than it does to someone else. What does a river mean to you? What associations do you have with fog? Let your intuition guide you. Connect to waking life. How do the dream's themes, emotions, or symbols relate to what's currently happening in your waking life? Is there a challenge you're facing? An emotion you're suppressing? A decision you're struggling with? Often, the dream is a direct commentary on an unresolved issue. Look for the unconscious message. The dream is often trying to highlight something your conscious mind is overlooking or denying. If your persona is all about control, a dream about losing control might be your true self's way of urging you to loosen up or acknowledge your limitations. Beyond revealing our inner landscape, dreams can also serve as harbingers of future events or intuitive insights, often referred to as precognitive or prophetic dreams. While often dismissed as mere coincidence, numerous accounts throughout history and in contemporary life suggest that our subconscious mind, being less bound by linear time and space, can sometimes tap into information beyond our ordinary sensory perception. This aligns with the concept of an interconnected universal consciousness that our true self can access. Such dreams might offer glimpses of impending dangers, solutions to complex problems, or even confirm intuitive nudges that we've dismissed in our waking state. These experiences are particularly potent when our conscious and subconscious minds are aligned, when the noise of the persona is quieted, allowing the clarity of the true self to shine through. For example, a person might have a vivid dream of a specific interaction or event just days before it actually unfolds, complete with details they couldn't have consciously known. Or an inventor might struggle with a complex problem for weeks, only to find the complete solution presented to them in a dream, leading to a breakthrough upon waking. These occurrences, while often attributed to coincidence, point to the vast, untapped potential of our subconscious mind and its capacity to connect with a larger web of information. They reinforce the idea that our true self is part of something far greater, capable of insights that transcend rational thought. The practice of dream work, therefore, is not merely an intellectual exercise. It's a profound act of self-connection and integration. By consistently engaging with our dreams, we begin to heal emotional wounds. Dreams can bring repressed traumas or unacknowledged emotions to the surface, allowing us to process and release them. Integrate shadow aspects. As discussed, the shadow often appears in dreams as unsettling figures or challenging situations. By facing them in the dreamscape and understanding their symbolism, we facilitate their integration into our conscious awareness. Access creative solutions. Many artists, writers, and scientists credit dreams with providing inspiration and solutions to complex problems. The subconscious is a wellspring of creativity, unbound by conventional logic. Strengthen intuition. Consistently paying attention to the symbolic language of dreams sharpens our intuitive faculties in waking life, making us more attuned to subtle guidance. Gain spiritual insight. Dreams can offer profound spiritual experiences, connecting us to higher consciousness, departed loved ones, or archetypal wisdom, deepening our understanding of life's purpose and our place in the cosmos. Ultimately, working with dreams is a powerful way to reduce the disconnect between our persona and our true self. It allows the voice of our authentic being to be heard, bringing to light what the persona has carefully hidden away. It encourages us to acknowledge our fears, embrace our vulnerabilities, and tap into our innate wisdom. By honoring the messages from our nocturnal journeys, we begin to live a more conscious, integrated, and authentic life, where the inner and outer worlds are in harmonious dialogue. This deep dive into the subconscious through dreams naturally leads us to consider even more expansive states of consciousness, such as soul travel and astral projection, where the boundaries of the physical self truly begin to dissolve, a subject we will explore in the next segment. Having delved into the profound wisdom embedded in our dreams, a realm where the subconscious self communicates through symbols and narratives, we now venture further into the expansive territory of consciousness. Soul travel and astral projection. These are concepts that push the boundaries of conventional understanding, suggesting that our consciousness, our true self, is not confined to the physical body but can, under certain circumstances, exist and explore beyond it. Far from being mere fantasy, these phenomena are deeply woven into the fabric of ancient wisdom traditions, mystical practices, and even contemporary spiritual experiences across cultures, offering a radical perspective on the nature of identity and existence. Imagine a highly logical and grounded individual who has always identified strongly with their physical presence, their body, their senses, their tangible world. One night, perhaps after a period of intense meditation or even spontaneously during sleep, they experience something utterly bewildering. They suddenly find themselves floating above their own bed, looking down at their sleeping physical form. They feel no fear, only an intense sense of detachment and clarity. They might then feel drawn to float through walls, traverse vast distances in an instant, or even perceive other entities or subtle landscapes that are entirely invisible in their waking state. This profound experience, often described as an out-of-body experience, OB, fundamentally challenges their persona's grip on reality, forcing them to confront the possibility that their self is far more expansive than they ever conceived. The very notion of being able to separate consciousness from the physical vessel shatters the illusion that our persona, bound by physical limitations and social roles, is the totality of who we are. It offers a direct, experiential understanding of the true self as an unbounded, non-physical entity. The concepts of soul travel and astral projection have been documented for millennia. In ancient Egyptian funerary texts, the Ba, often depicted as a human-headed bird, represents the soul's ability to leave the body after death and journey through the afterlife. In shamanic traditions across the globe, shamans intentionally enter altered states of consciousness to journey to non-ordinary realities or spirit worlds to gain knowledge, heal others, or retrieve lost soul fragments. Hindu and Buddhist philosophy speak of various subtle bodies, with the astral body being one of them, capable of traversing different planes of existence. The Kabbalah, a system of Jewish mysticism, discusses ecstatic journeys of the soul. These diverse traditions, separated by geography and time, independently arrive at a similar conclusion. Consciousness is not limited to the brain. The purpose and benefits of soul travel are multifold, going beyond mere novelty, expanding consciousness and understanding the true self. The most significant benefit is the direct, experiential realization that you are not your physical body. This profound insight can shatter limiting beliefs about identity, mortality, and reality itself. It offers an undeniable proof of the non-physical nature of the true self, liberating one from the confines of the persona's physical and material identification. It fosters a deep understanding of the self as a spiritual being having a human experience, connecting with other dimensions and beings. Practitioners often report encountering other entities, beings of light, or discarnate spirits. as well as experiencing landscapes and environments that defy earthly description. These encounters can provide profound spiritual insights, guidance, and a sense of interconnectedness with a vast, intelligent universe. It opens up the possibility of receiving knowledge or healing from non-physical sources, gaining higher knowledge and perspective. From an astral perspective, earthly problems often appear trivial, viewed from a broader, more objective lens. This can lead to breakthroughs in problem solving, a clearer understanding of life purpose, or insights into complex philosophical questions. It's like seeing the entire map instead of just the tiny corner you're standing on. You gain a macro perspective that can bring immense clarity to your micro experience. Overcoming fear of death. For many, experiencing soul travel can fundamentally transform their relationship with death. If consciousness can exist independently of the body, then physical death is merely a transition, not an end. This can alleviate existential fears and bring a deep sense of peace and acceptance. Healing and personal growth. Astral experiences can provide opportunities for self-healing, confronting fears, and integrating fragmented aspects of the psyche. Some believe that specific astral locations or interactions can even facilitate energetic cleansing or karmic resolution. Methods for inducing soul travel, astral projection vary widely, though they generally involve states of deep relaxation, focused intention, and altered consciousness. Mind awake, body asleep. MABA state. This is a common technique where one brings their mind to a state of profound alertness while allowing the physical body to fall into deep sleep paralysis. As the body becomes numb and heavy, the mind remains conscious and can then gently exit the physical form. This often involves meditating on the sensations of the body, then consciously intending to separate. Vibrational stage. Many who experience OBEs report a distinct vibrational sensation throughout their body just before separation. Learning to consciously induce and control these vibrations is a common technique. Visualization. Intensely visualizing oneself floating, rising, or passing through a boundary can help trigger the experience. Dream incubation, lucid dreaming. Developing the ability to become conscious within a dream. Lucid dreaming is often a precursor to astral projection. Once lucid in a dream, one can consciously intend to wake up from the dream into the astral plane or to simply fly out of their dream body. Deep meditation and trance states. Prolonged meditation, chanting, or breathwork can lead to altered states of consciousness where the boundaries between the physical and non-physical become porous. Sound frequencies, binaural beats. Specific audio frequencies can help entrain brainwaves to states conducive to out-of-body experiences, such as theta or delta waves. Common experiences often reported during soul travel include seeing one's own physical body. The most common initial experience, witnessing oneself lying in bed, flying or floating. A sense of weightlessness and effortless movement, often at high speeds or through solid objects. Perceiving different planes or realms. Encountering environments that are distinct from the physical world, sometimes more vibrant, sometimes more ethereal. Meeting other entities, interactions with spirit guides, deceased loved ones, or unknown non-physical beings. Telepathy. Communicating without words, through direct thought transfer. Heightened sensory perception. Colors might appear more vivid, sounds more resonant, or perceptions more acute than in waking life. Fear and detachment. While initial experiences can be startling, a common feeling is one of profound peace and detachment from earthly concerns, often coupled with a complete absence of physical pain or discomfort. It's important to approach these practices with respect, a clear intention, and often under the guidance of experienced practitioners. While generally considered safe, some people report initial fear or disorientation upon returning to the body. However, the profound shift in perspective that accompanies such experiences is invaluable for personal and spiritual growth. By directly experiencing consciousness beyond the physical form, the concept of the persona, which is inherently tied to our physical and social identity, loses its absolute power. We begin to understand that the roles we play, the image we project, are but temporary expressions of a far grander, eternal, and unbound self. This journey beyond the physical veil profoundly reinforces the idea that our true self is not merely a psychological construct, but a fundamental aspect of the universe itself. It compels us to reassess our attachments to the material world and to prioritize the growth and liberation of our consciousness. This experiential understanding forms a powerful bridge to the ancient wisdom traditions that have explored these very truths for millennia, setting the stage for our next deep dive into the philosophical pathways that guide us towards self-realization. Having journeyed through the subtle realms of dreams and even beyond the physical body with soul travel, we now turn our gaze to the enduring legacies of ancient wisdom traditions. For millennia, long before modern psychology or neuroscience, humanity's greatest thinkers and spiritual masters grappled with the fundamental questions of existence. Who are we? What is our true nature? How do we find lasting peace and purpose? Their insights, preserved in rich philosophical texts and mystical teachings, offer profound pathways to self-realization, the deep, experiential understanding of our true self beyond the confines of the persona. These aren't just abstract ideas. They are practical frameworks for living a life of authenticity and spiritual awakening. Consider the bustling marketplace of ancient Athens, where an unassuming philosopher, Socrates, famously declared, "Know thyself." This wasn't merely an intellectual exercise for him. It was the cornerstone of all wisdom and ethical living. Socrates believed that true knowledge came not from accumulating external facts, but from relentless self-examination. He would engage citizens in dialectical conversations, asking probing questions that stripped away their assumptions, their societal roles, and their superficial beliefs, much like peeling away the layers of a persona. He argued that most people lived unexamined lives, driven by ignorance of their own true motivations and virtues. By forcing individuals to confront their contradictions and acknowledge their inner landscape, Socrates aimed to lead them to discover their innate wisdom and moral compass, the unchanging essence of their character that lay beneath their public opinions and roles. His student, Plato, elaborated on this, introducing the concept of the world of forms, suggesting that beyond the imperfect, changing world of our senses lies a realm of perfect, eternal forms, including the form of the good, or truth itself. For Plato, the journey of philosophical inquiry was a process of remembering these eternal forms, which reside within our soul, our true self. To know thyself was, in essence, to recollect the divine, unchanging truth embedded within. The persona, for these philosophers, represented the superficial, the realm of opinion and illusion that obscured the deeper reality of the soul. Moving eastward, the vast tapestry of Eastern philosophies offers even more explicit and diverse paths to self-realization, often emphasizing the dissolution of the egoic self to merge with a larger, universal consciousness. In Buddhism, the concept of anatta, non-self or no self, is central. This might seem paradoxical when discussing the true self, but it's a profound teaching about the nature of identity. Buddhism asserts that there is no permanent, unchanging, independently existing self-ego that underlies our experiences. Instead, what we perceive as self is a fleeting collection of interconnected physical and mental processes. Form, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, consciousness. The suffering arises from clinging to this illusory, separate self. The path to nirvana, or enlightenment, involves letting go of this attachment, realizing the interconnectedness of all phenomena, and merging with the ultimate reality that is free from suffering. The true self in this context is not a fixed entity, but the enlightened state of boundless awareness and compassion that emerges when the egoic persona and its attachments dissolve. The persona, with its desires, aversions, and clinging, is precisely what obscures this liberating truth. Taoism, articulated most eloquently by Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching, speaks of the Tao, the way or the path, as the fundamental, unnameable principle that governs the universe. The true self in Taoism is achieved by aligning oneself with this natural flow, embracing Wu Wei, non-action or effortless action. It's about letting go of artificial striving, societal expectations, and the rigid structures imposed by the persona, allowing one's inherent nature to unfold spontaneously and harmoniously with the cosmos. The persona in Taoism would be seen as the forced, unnatural way of living, constantly battling against the inherent simplicity and balance of the Tao. When one ceases to strive and instead flows with life, their true self, in its most natural and unburdened form, emerges. This often involves embracing paradox, finding strength in softness, and recognizing the wisdom of emptiness. Beyond these broad philosophical schools, various mystical and esoteric traditions offer their own intricate maps for the journey inward, emphasizing hidden knowledge and direct spiritual experience. Hermeticism, an ancient philosophical tradition rooted in Egyptian and Greek wisdom, centers on principles attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. Key to Hermetic philosophy is the concept of as above, so below, suggesting a profound correspondence between all planes of existence, the macrocosm of the universe and the microcosm of the human being. Self-realization in Hermeticism involves understanding these universal laws and recognizing the divine spark within oneself. The true self is seen as a reflection of the divine mind, and through practices like alchemy, not just of metals but of the soul, one transmutes lower, egoic aspects into higher, spiritual awareness. The persona here is the unrefined lead that must be transformed into the spiritual gold of the true self through conscious effort and initiation into hidden knowledge. The Kabbalah, a mystical tradition in Judaism, provides a profound map of creation and the human soul through its central symbol, the Tree of Life. This intricate diagram represents the emanations of the divine, the Sephirot, and serves as a blueprint for understanding both the universe and the human psyche. The journey of Kabbalah is one of ascent, moving from the lower, material realms to the higher, spiritual realms, ultimately reuniting the individual soul, Neshama, with the divine source, Ein Sof. The persona would be associated with the lower, more external Sephirot, tied to worldly manifestation and limited perception, while the true self is revealed as one ascends, breaking free from the illusions of separateness and realizing the inherent unity with God. Through practices like meditation on the Sephirot, prayer, and ethical living, the Kabbalist seeks to reveal the hidden divine light within. Alchemy, often misunderstood as merely the pursuit of turning lead into gold, is, at its heart, a profound metaphor for spiritual transformation and self-realization. The chemical processes of separation, purification, and recombination mirror the psychological journey of integrating the fragmented aspects of the psyche. The lead represents the prima materia, the raw, undifferentiated state of the unconscious, including the unintegrated shadow and the confines of the persona. Through processes like negrito, darkening, confronting the shadow, albedo, whitening, purification, and rubedo, reddening, achieving union, the alchemist seeks to transmute the base elements of the personality into the philosopher's stone, a symbol of awakened consciousness, wholeness, and spiritual perfection. The true gold is the integrated, authentic self, liberated from the dross of unconscious patterns and false identities. The persona, in this context, is the unrefined external shell, destined to be transformed. What unites these diverse ancient philosophies and mystical traditions is the consistent emphasis on an inner journey, a turning away from superficial external realities to discover a deeper truth within. They all offer frameworks for understanding the illusory nature of the ego, persona, and provide methodologies for connecting with the changeless, boundless essence of the true self. They teach us that true power, lasting peace, and profound wisdom are not found in accumulating possessions, achieving social status, or fulfilling external expectations, but in the radical act of knowing, accepting, and embodying who we truly are. This journey of self-realization is not merely an intellectual pursuit. It is an experiential unfolding, a process of stripping away what is not essential to reveal what has always been. These ancient pathways provide the foundational context for understanding not only our inner world, but also how we perceive and interact with the subtle, often mysterious phenomena of the universe, setting the stage for our exploration of mystical experiences. As we journey through the philosophical landscapes of ancient wisdom, Uncovering pathways to the true self, we inevitably encounter phenomena that defy ordinary understanding. Mystical experiences. These are not mere intellectual concepts but profound, often life-altering encounters that transcend the five senses and conventional reality, offering direct insight into the interconnectedness of all things and the boundless nature of consciousness. They shatter the illusion of the persona, revealing the true self as part of something vast, sacred, and infinitely profound. These experiences act as powerful awakenings, often forcing individuals to reevaluate their entire worldview and their place within the cosmos. Imagine a person who has always lived a meticulously structured life, completely identifying with their logical, rational persona. Their world is defined by what they can see, touch, and measure. Suddenly, they find themselves in a severe car accident. The impact is brutal, and they lose consciousness. When they wake up, they're not in the hospital, but floating above their body, observing the frantic scene below. They feel no pain, only an overwhelming sense of peace and clarity. They might then perceive a tunnel of light, encounter deceased loved ones, or feel an indescribable sense of unconditional love and unity. This is a classic near-death experience, NDE. Upon returning to their body, their persona, once so rigid, is irrevocably altered. The material world no longer holds the same absolute truth. They now carry an undeniable knowing that consciousness survives death, that there is a profound spiritual dimension to existence, and that love is the ultimate reality. Their entire life purpose, their values, and their priorities often undergo a radical transformation, driven by this direct encounter with the self beyond the physical veil. NDEs are perhaps one of the most compelling and widely reported categories of mystical experiences. Millions of people from diverse cultural and religious backgrounds have shared remarkably consistent accounts. Out-of-body experiences, OBEs. A sense of detaching from the physical body and observing it from a distance. Encounters with light beings or deceased loved ones. Often described as benevolent, radiant beings or familiar faces offering comfort and guidance. Life review. A rapid panoramic review of one's entire life, often experienced from an objective, non-judgmental perspective, where the impact of one's actions, especially those involving love or lack thereof, is profoundly felt. Sense of unconditional love and peace. An overwhelming feeling of bliss, interconnectedness, and a complete absence of fear, pain, or ego. Passage through a tunnel or void. A journey towards a brilliant light, or into a profound, peaceful void. Return to body. Often a reluctant return, sometimes with a newfound mission or understanding. The insights gained from NDEs consistently point to the non-physicality of the true self and the existence of dimensions beyond our ordinary perception. They underscore that our consciousness is not merely a product of the brain, but something far more expansive and eternal. This direct, undeniable evidence can utterly dismantle the persona's limited worldview, which often clings to material reality as the only truth. It forces a radical reevaluation of what is truly important in life, shifting focus from external achievements to internal growth, love, and service. Beyond NDEs, countless other mystical phenomena highlight the permeability of the veil between our ordinary reality and the spiritual realms. These often fall under the umbrella of extrasensory perception, ESP, or heightened awareness. Psychic or clairvoyant experiences involve gaining knowledge or perceiving information without the use of the known senses. This might include clairvoyance, clear-seeing, perceiving events or objects distant in space or time; clairaudience, clear hearing, hearing voices, sounds, or messages not audible to others; clairsentience, clear feeling, sensing emotions or energies from others or places; precognition, knowing about future events before they happen; telepathy, direct mind-to-mind communication without external means. While often dismissed by skeptical scientific paradigms, anecdotal evidence and some research suggests these experiences are more common than acknowledged. For example, a person might suddenly have a strong gut feeling about a loved one being in danger, only to later find out an accident occurred. Or they might just know who is calling before looking at the caller ID. These fleeting moments of expanded awareness hint at an underlying interconnectedness that our ordinary persona-driven consciousness usually filters out. They demonstrate that the true self possesses faculties far beyond what our physical senses perceive, tapping into a field of universal information. Then there are moments of profound spiritual awakening or enlightenment, which can be sudden, transformative experiences that shift one's entire perception of reality. These are often described as cosmic consciousness, a feeling of oneness with everything, an experience of the universe as a unified, living entity. The boundaries of the individual self dissolve, merging with the whole. Unconditional love, an overwhelming flood of pure, boundless love for all existence, transcending personal relationships. Profound clarity and insight, a sudden understanding of life's deepest mysteries, the nature of suffering, or one's purpose. Ego dissolution, a temporary or permanent transcendence of the ego self, leading to a sense of freedom from personal desires and anxieties. Bliss and ecstasy, a state of intense joy and rapture, often accompanied by a sense of deep peace. These moments can be triggered by various factors: prolonged meditation, prayer, encounters with nature, profound personal crisis, or sometimes they simply happen spontaneously. The individual who experiences such an awakening often finds their persona crumbling, as the petty concerns and social posturing that once dominated their lives now seem utterly insignificant in the face of such profound cosmic truth. Their values shift, their priorities reorder, and they often feel compelled to live a life more aligned with compassion, service, and authenticity. They no longer believe in unity. They have experienced it. These mystical experiences, whether fleeting or life-altering, serve several critical functions in our journey toward the true self. Validation of the non-physical. They provide direct experiential proof that reality extends beyond the material and that consciousness is more than just brain activity. This can dismantle the skepticism of the rational persona. Erosion of egoic identity. By forcing a confrontation with phenomena beyond the ego's control or comprehension, they humble the persona and show its limitations. The sense of a separate, isolated self begins to dissolve. Awakening to interconnectedness. The recurring theme of unity and oneness in mystical experiences fosters a deep understanding that we are all inextricably linked, part of a vast, intelligent universe. This dissolves feelings of isolation and fosters empathy, guidance, and purpose. Insights gained can provide profound clarity on life's direction, inner purpose, and how to live in greater alignment with universal laws. Many who have NDEs return with a renewed sense of mission, inspiring transformation. The sheer profundity of these experiences often catalyzes radical personal transformation, leading individuals to shed old patterns, embrace authenticity, and live lives of greater meaning and spiritual depth. While not everyone will have a dramatic NDE or a sudden cosmic awakening, understanding these phenomena broadens our perspective on the potential of human consciousness. It reminds us that there is more to reality than what our limited persona can perceive. It encourages us to open ourselves to the subtle whispers of intuition, to trust our inner knowing, and to cultivate practices that might allow us to glimpse beyond the veil. The recognition that such experiences are possible and that they reveal profound truths about the true self serves as an invitation to look beyond the obvious, to trust the unseen, and to tap into the very sixth sense of intuition, which becomes our next crucial point of exploration. Our journey into the depths of persona and self has led us through the realms of social conditioning, the fears that bind us, the power of energetic vibrations, the wisdom of dreams, and the profound insights of mystical experiences. Now, we arrive at a faculty that often bridges these seemingly disparate elements: intuition. Often referred to as the sixth sense, intuition is that subtle inner knowing, the gut feeling, the sudden flash of insight that arrives without logical explanation. It's the quiet voice of wisdom that cuts through the noise of the rational mind and the demands of the persona, serving as an invaluable guide on our path to authenticity and alignment with our true self. Imagine a highly analytical business consultant, whose entire persona is built on data, logic, and meticulous planning. Every decision is typically run through a rigorous cost-benefit analysis. One day, faced with a critical business deal, all the data points to one specific course of action. Yet, a persistent, illogical gut feeling tells them to do the exact opposite. There's no rational basis for this feeling, but it's strong. Their persona screams, "Ignore it. Stick to the facts." But a deeper part of them, the quiet whisper of intuition, urges them to deviate. If they choose to listen to this inner voice, they might later discover that the seemingly logical path was fraught with hidden risks, while the intuitive path led to an unexpected, highly successful outcome. This scenario highlights how intuition operates. It often bypasses linear thought, offering a direct knowing that can defy conventional logic, serving as a direct conduit from the higher wisdom of the true self. So, what exactly is intuition, and how is it connected to our deeper self? Intuition is often described as an immediate apprehension of truth, a direct perception without conscious reasoning. It's that aha moment, the sudden clarity, or the feeling in your body that tells you something is right or wrong, safe or dangerous, authentic or false. It's distinct from logical deduction, which builds conclusions step by step, or from emotion, which can often be reactive and biased. Intuition is a form of innate wisdom, a deeper intelligence that transcends the ego and the limitations of the persona. The connection between intuition and the true self is profound. Our true self is inherently connected to universal consciousness, to a vast field of information and wisdom that extends beyond our individual ego. Intuition is the language through which this higher wisdom communicates with our conscious mind. It's the true self providing guidance, offering insights that are always in alignment with our highest good, unclouded by the fears, desires, or conditioned responses of the persona. When our persona is loud, driven by external validation, fear of judgment, or a need to control, it can easily drown out the subtle whispers of intuition. But when we quiet the ego and create space, the intuitive voice becomes clearer. Think of it as a subtle radio frequency. Our rational mind is often tuned to the loud, familiar stations of logic, societal norms, and past experiences. Intuition, however, broadcasts on a subtler, higher frequency, requiring us to consciously tune in. When we are disconnected from our true self, our inner receiver is faulty, making it difficult to pick up these vital signals. How can we develop and learn to trust our intuition to guide us towards authenticity? It's a practice of self-awareness, mindfulness, and courage. Cultivate stillness and silence. Intuition often speaks in whispers, not shouts. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, it's easy to miss these subtle cues. Regular practices like meditation, mindfulness, or simply spending time in nature help quiet the busy mind, the persona's domain, and create space for the intuitive voice to emerge. This is why many people experience intuitive flashes during quiet moments, like taking a shower, going for a walk, or just before falling asleep. Pay attention to gut feelings and bodily sensations. Our body is a powerful intuitive receiver. A sudden clenching in your stomach, a feeling of expansion in your chest, a tingling sensation, or an overall feeling of ease or unease can be intuitive signals. Learn to recognize these physical cues. For example, if you're considering a decision and feel a knot in your stomach, even if it looks good on paper, your intuition might be sending a warning. Conversely, a feeling of lightness or expansion can indicate alignment. Journaling and reflection. Regularly writing down your thoughts, feelings, and dilemmas can help you discern between egoic chatter, emotional reactions, and genuine intuitive insights. When you write, you often access deeper parts of your subconscious mind. Ask yourself questions in your journal and then sit quietly, allowing an intuitive answer to arise. Practice asking and listening. Start with small, low-stakes decisions. When faced with a choice, pause, take a deep breath, and ask your intuition for guidance. Then, pay attention to the first thought, feeling, or image that comes to mind without immediately analyzing or judging it. The initial response is often the intuitive one. The subsequent rationalizations are often the persona kicking in. Review past experiences. Reflect on times when you ignored your intuition and regretted it, and times when you followed it and were grateful. This builds trust in your inner wisdom over time. See the patterns in how your intuition communicates with you. Embrace uncertainty and let go of control. The persona thrives on control and certainty. Intuition often requires a leap of faith into the unknown. Learning to tolerate ambiguity and trusting that an answer will emerge when needed is crucial for developing intuition. This means stepping out of the need to logically figure everything out all the time. Release fear of being wrong. The persona often fears making mistakes or being perceived as irrational. Trusting intuition means accepting that sometimes its guidance might seem illogical to the rational mind. It requires courage to act on a feeling that can't be immediately justified. Every time you bravely follow an intuitive nudge, and it proves correct, your trust in this inner guide strengthens. Trusting intuition is not about abandoning logic, it's about integrating it. Logic is invaluable for planning, analyzing, and executing. But intuition is often superior for discerning truth, making aligned decisions, and navigating complex human dynamics where objective data is scarce. When logic and intuition work in harmony, we become incredibly powerful decision makers, operating from a place of deep wisdom and inner knowing. The implications of developing strong intuition for our journey to authenticity are immense. Aligned decision-making. Intuition helps us make choices that are truly aligned with our true self and our highest purpose, rather than being swayed by external pressures, fears, or the desires of the persona. This leads to a life that feels more meaningful and fulfilling. Spotting inauthenticity. A strong intuition helps us discern between genuine connections and superficial ones. We can sense when others are being inauthentic or when a situation doesn't feel right, protecting us from misaligned relationships or opportunities. Navigating challenges. In times of crisis or uncertainty, when logical solutions are not immediately apparent, intuition can provide innovative solutions or guide us towards the most beneficial path forward. It's our inner compass in the storm. Deepening self-trust. Consistently listening to and acting on our intuition builds profound self-trust. We learn to rely on our inner wisdom, reducing our dependence on external validation and strengthening our connection to our true self. This is a powerful antidote to the persona's need for external approval. Greater flow and ease. When we live intuitively, we operate in greater alignment with the flow of life. Decisions feel less arduous, and opportunities seem to manifest more naturally as we are vibrating at a frequency that resonates with positive outcomes. By nurturing our sixth sense, we actively reclaim agency from the persona. We move from being reactors to external stimuli and expectations, to becoming conscious co-creators of our reality, guided by the profound wisdom of our true self. This shift empowers us to break free from the constraints of the masks we wear, courageously stepping into a more authentic and fulfilling existence, which is the very essence of reclaiming our true power. We have traversed the intricate landscape of the persona, understanding its formation, its subtle grip, and the various ways it can lead us astray from our true essence. We've explored the profound wisdom of the true self, the subtle language of intuition, and the vast insights offered by dreams and mystical experiences. Now, the crucial question emerges. How do we actively, consciously break free from the confines of those personas that no longer serve us and truly reclaim our authentic power? This isn't a passive process. It's a dynamic, courageous journey of deconstruction and reconstruction, demanding self-awareness, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to living in alignment with our deepest truth. Imagine a seasoned climber, burdened by a heavy backpack filled with unnecessary gear. Equipment they once thought essential for their ascent but now only weighs them down. To reach the summit, they must meticulously examine each item, deciding what to keep and what to shed. This is precisely the task before us. To identify and thoughtfully release the personas that are no longer serving our authentic growth. The first step is critical: identifying the personas that no longer serve. This requires honest, fearless introspection. Ask yourself, in which situations do I feel like I'm performing or faking it? What parts of myself do I regularly hide from others, or even from myself? What expectations do I try to meet, and whose expectations are they truly? When do I feel a sense of emptiness, anxiety, or exhaustion despite achieving external success? What beliefs do I hold about myself that feel heavy, restrictive, or inauthentic? By regularly journaling, engaging in mindful self-inquiry, or seeking feedback from trusted loved ones, you can begin to pinpoint the specific masks that have become burdens. Perhaps it's the always strong persona that prevents you from asking for help, or the people-pleaser persona that leads you to overcommit and resent others, or the perfect achiever persona that fuels endless anxiety about failure. Recognizing these patterns is the dawn of liberation. Once identified, the process shifts to consciously choosing to disidentify with these personas. This doesn't mean you immediately transform overnight. It means acknowledging that this is a role I play, not who I fundamentally am. It's a subtle but powerful internal shift. For example, if you realize you've been wearing a perpetually optimistic persona to avoid dealing with difficult emotions, the disidentification begins when you acknowledge, I am feeling sad right now, and that's okay. I don't have to pretend to be happy for others. This acknowledgement creates a crucial space between you and the persona, weakening its unconscious hold. A cornerstone of breaking free is the practice of self-acceptance and radical self-compassion. For so long, we've judged ourselves harshly for the very qualities we've pushed into our shadow, or we've criticized ourselves for not living up to the impossible standards of our persona. To truly reclaim power, we must embrace every facet of our being, flaws and all. This means acknowledging imperfections, understanding that being human means being imperfect, and that true beauty often lies in our vulnerabilities. Forgiving yourself, releasing past self-judgments, and understanding that your personas were often created as protective mechanisms. You did the best you could with the awareness you had. Treating yourself with kindness, speaking to yourself with the same empathy and understanding you would offer a dear friend. When you slip back into old patterns, observe it without harsh criticism and gently redirect yourself. Consider a woman who has spent her life adhering to the persona of the dutiful daughter, always prioritizing her family's desires above her own. She went to law school because it was expected, despite her secret passion for painting. The fear of disappointing her parents, the fear of judgment, and the desire for their approval became the invisible chains of her persona. Over time, this led to deep resentment and a pervasive sense of unfulfillment. Her journey to break free might begin with the realization that her anxiety stems from this misalignment. She identifies the dutiful daughter persona. The next step is self-acceptance. Recognizing that her desire for artistic expression is not selfish or disrespectful, but a fundamental part of her true self. She begins to practice compassion for the young girl who felt she had to conform. The crucial turning point is finding the courage to live authentically, despite the fear of judgment. This is where true power is reclaimed. It means setting boundaries, learning to say no to requests that don't align with your values or energy, even if it might displease others initially. This is a powerful act of self-honor. For the dutiful daughter, this might mean gently but firmly telling her parents she won't be taking over the family business, or declining social engagements that drain her. Expressing your truth, speaking up when your opinion differs, sharing your true feelings, or being vulnerable about your struggles, even if it feels uncomfortable. This is not about being aggressive, but about being honest and clear. The daughter might start sharing her passion for painting with her friends, or even subtly with her family, inviting them into her authentic world rather than hiding it. Prioritizing your own needs and desires. Moving from a place of constant external validation to internal guidance. This involves making choices based on what truly brings you joy, meaning, and fulfillment, even if those choices are unconventional. For the daughter, this means enrolling in art classes, dedicating time to her passion, and eventually, perhaps even pursuing it professionally, regardless of external opinions. Embracing vulnerability. Understanding that true strength lies not in hiding imperfections, but in having the courage to show them. Vulnerability is the pathway to genuine connection and deep intimacy. When we allow ourselves to be seen, we invite true love and acceptance. This process is not without its challenges. When you start to drop your persona, those around you who were comfortable with your old identity might react. Some might be confused, some might feel threatened, and some might even try to pull you back into your old roles. This requires immense inner strength and resilience. The dutiful daughter might face initial disappointment or even anger from her parents. This is where her self-compassion and newfound conviction in her true self become paramount. She understands that their reaction comes from their own conditioning and expectations, and that her authenticity is not a rejection of them, but an embrace of herself. The act of breaking free is also deeply connected to energetic liberation. Every moment you spend maintaining an inauthentic persona is an energetic drain. It's like wearing a tight, uncomfortable suit that restricts your breathing. When you shed these layers, there is a palpable sense of release, expansion, and lightness. Your energy, once fragmented and suppressed, begins to flow freely, raising your vibration and allowing you to attract more positive, authentic experiences into your life. You become more vibrant, more present, and more aligned with the powerful current of the universe. Reclaiming your authentic power is ultimately about sovereignty, taking full ownership of your life, your choices, and your sense of self. It's about moving from being a puppet of external expectations to becoming the conscious author of your own story. It empowers you to build authentic relationships. By showing up as your true self, you attract people who genuinely love and accept you for who you are, fostering deeper and more fulfilling connections. Live with purpose and passion. When your actions align with your true self, every endeavor is infused with meaning and joy, transforming mundane tasks into expressions of your unique essence. Experience true freedom. The ultimate freedom is not the absence of external constraints, but the liberation from internal ones, the freedom to be unapologetically, authentically you. Become a beacon for others. Your authenticity becomes an inspiration, subtly giving others permission to shed their own masks and embrace their true selves. This is not a destination, but a continuous journey. There will be moments of doubt, setbacks, and times when the old personas try to reassert their dominance. But with consistent practice, self-compassion, and courage, each step taken in the direction of authenticity is a powerful affirmation of your true self. This continuous journey of self-discovery, fueled by mindfulness and acceptance, is the very essence of living an awakened life, which we will delve into further. Having embarked on the courageous path of breaking free from limiting personas and reclaiming our authentic power, we now turn to two ancient yet profoundly relevant practices that serve as fundamental anchors in this journey: mindfulness and meditation. These aren't just techniques for relaxation. They are powerful disciplines for cultivating a deeper connection to our true self, differentiating it from the noisy chatter of the persona, and living more fully in the present moment. In a world saturated with distractions and the constant demands of external roles, mindfulness and meditation offer a vital sanctuary where we can rediscover our inner stillness and clarity. Imagine a turbulent lake, its surface roiling with waves stirred by a strong wind. You can barely see your reflection, let alone the depths beneath. This turbulent surface is akin to our mind when it's dominated by the persona constantly reacting to external stimuli, caught in a whirlwind of thoughts about the past and future, and striving to maintain an image. Now, imagine the wind suddenly dies down. Slowly, gently, the waves subside. The surface becomes calm. And eventually, the water becomes so still that you can see clearly to the bottom, reflecting the sky above. This stillness, this clarity, is the state cultivated through mindfulness and meditation, allowing us to see beyond the agitated surface of the persona and connect with the profound depths of the true self. At its core, meditation is the practice of training the mind to achieve a state of relaxed awareness. While there are myriad forms, most meditation techniques involve focusing attention on a single object, like the breath, a mantra, or bodily sensations, to quiet the incessant stream of thoughts that typically dominate our consciousness. This monkey mind is often the persona's playground, constantly planning, judging, comparing, and worrying about how we are perceived. By gently redirecting attention back to the chosen anchor, we gradually weaken the persona's grip on our awareness, creating space for the true self to emerge. Mindfulness, often described as meditation in action, is the practice of bringing present moment awareness to any activity. It's about paying full attention, without judgment, to what is happening right now. The sensations of breathing, the taste of food, the sound of birds, the feeling of walking. It's about observing our thoughts and emotions as they arise, without getting carried away by them or identifying with them. This practice helps us to step out of autopilot, out of the reactive patterns dictated by our persona, and into a state of conscious presence. How do these practices help us differentiate persona and self? Observing thoughts without identification. When you meditate or practice mindfulness, you train yourself to become the observer of your thoughts and emotions, rather than being swept away by them. You notice thoughts like, "I should be more productive," or "What will they think of me?" as fleeting mental events, not as definitive statements about who you are. This creates a crucial distance. The persona is often built from these very thoughts and self-judgments. By observing them, you realize they are not you. They are merely mental constructs. This discernment is vital for disidentifying with the persona. You see the persona's narratives as stories your mind tells, not as your inherent truth. Accessing the stillness beneath the noise. Beneath the constant chatter of the mind, the persona's domain, lies a fundamental layer of stillness and pure awareness. The true self. Meditation provides a direct pathway to this stillness. As the mind quiets, you begin to experience a sense of spaciousness, peace, and an unchanging presence. This experience is a direct recognition of your true self, distinct from the ever-changing thoughts, emotions, and roles that define your persona. It's the experience of simply being, unburdened by doing or proving. Cultivating non-judgmental awareness. Both practices emphasize observing without judgment. The persona often thrives on judgment, judging ourselves against external standards, judging others, and fearing being judged. Mindfulness teaches us to simply notice thoughts and feelings without labeling them as good or bad. This compassionate, non-judgmental stance extends to our self-perception, allowing us to accept all aspects of our being, including the imperfections that our persona might try to hide. This radical acceptance weakens the very foundation of the persona, which often relies on suppressing perceived flaws. The profound benefits of mindfulness and meditation for living a more conscious and authentic life are extensive. Reduced stress and anxiety. By anchoring us in the present moment, these practices reduce rumination about the past, regret, and worry about the future, anxiety, both of which are fueled by the persona's concerns about performance and outcomes. This calms the nervous system, leading to a profound sense of inner peace and equilibrium. Enhanced self-awareness. Regular practice sharpens our ability to notice our internal states, our triggers, our habitual reactions, our unconscious patterns. This heightened self-awareness is essential for recognizing when the persona is taking over and for making conscious choices that align with the true self. You become intimately familiar with the inner workings of your mind and emotions, allowing you to observe the persona's machinations rather than being trapped within them. Improved emotional regulation. Instead of being overwhelmed by emotions or suppressing them, as the persona often does, mindfulness teaches us to acknowledge and observe emotions as they arise, without being consumed by them. This allows for a healthier, more conscious processing of feelings, rather than letting them dictate our behavior from an unconscious level. We learn to respond rather than react. Greater clarity and focus. By quieting mental clutter, meditation enhances cognitive function, improves concentration, and fosters a clearer perspective on challenges and opportunities. This mental clarity helps us to discern genuine intuitive guidance from egoic desires, making decisions that are more aligned with our true self. Deeper self-compassion and acceptance. The non-judgmental stance inherent in mindfulness extends to ourselves. We learn to approach our perceived flaws and struggles with kindness and understanding. rather than harsh self-criticism. This is crucial for integrating the shadow and truly embracing our wholeness, dissolving the need for a perfect persona. Authentic presence. When we are mindful, we are fully present in our interactions, truly listening and responding from a place of genuine connection, rather than from a script dictated by our persona. This cultivates deeper, more meaningful relationships as others feel truly seen and heard. Our authenticity shines through, fostering trust and intimacy. Increased resilience. By cultivating an inner sanctuary of peace and a stable sense of self, we become more resilient in the face of life's inevitable challenges. External circumstances may fluctuate, but our inner anchor remains firm. We understand that our true self is untouched by external chaos. Consider the story of a busy corporate executive who constantly felt the pressure to perform, always on, even outside of work. Their persona was one of unwavering control and high energy, masking deep exhaustion and stress. They began a daily meditation practice. Initially, their mind raced, and sitting still felt impossible. But with persistent effort, they started to experience moments of calm. They noticed the incessant voice of their inner critic, a key part of their persona, and gradually learned to observe it without engaging. Over time, they found themselves less reactive to workplace pressures, more patient with their family, and able to make decisions from a place of clarity rather than anxiety. They didn't abandon their professional responsibilities, but they approached them from a place of inner calm, no longer driven by the frantic need to maintain a perfect image. Their actions became less about impressing others and more about genuine contribution. They began to feel a profound sense of peace that wasn't dependent on external success, but on their connection to their true self. Mindfulness and meditation are not quick fixes. They are lifelong practices that gradually, yet profoundly, transform our relationship with ourselves and the world. They empower us to consciously choose who we want to be, rather than being unconsciously driven by the dictates of our persona. By regularly returning to the stillness within, we continuously anchor ourselves in the present self, allowing our authentic truth to guide our every action. This inner strength and clarity become invaluable as we confront the inherent fear that often arises when we contemplate shedding the safety of our persona. The fear of the void that might be left behind. A crucial step we will explore next. As we journey deeper into the realms of authenticity, shedding the layers of the persona and anchoring ourselves in the true self through practices like mindfulness, an often unsettling, yet crucial, phase emerges. Facing the void. This is the profound, sometimes terrifying, experience of confronting the perceived emptiness that arises when we start to dismantle the identities we've so carefully constructed. It's the fear that without our persona, without our roles, our achievements, our external validations, there will be nothing left, a vast, terrifying emptiness. This fear of no persona is a significant hurdle on the path to liberation, often prompting us to retreat back into the comfortable confines of our old masks. Imagine a seasoned CEO, whose entire identity, sense of purpose, and self-worth have been inextricably linked to their prestigious title, their relentless work schedule, and their reputation for being decisive and powerful. Their persona is their entire world. Then, due to unforeseen circumstances, they are forced into early retirement. Suddenly, the phone stops ringing. The demanding schedule vanishes. The urgent emails cease. The power dynamics dissolve. What is left? For someone who has over-identified with their persona, this sudden absence of external validation and role can feel like a devastating loss, a complete erasure of self. They might feel adrift, utterly lost, and profoundly depressed. The void isn't just the absence of activity. It's the terrifying thought that without the persona, they are nothing. This feeling of being lost at sea is the fear of no persona manifesting in its most potent form. This profound fear stems from several deeply ingrained beliefs. The belief that our persona is our identity. We've been conditioned to believe that our roles, titles, and external achievements define who we are. When these are stripped away, the ego, which is largely built upon these external constructs, panics, sensing its own dissolution. The fear of worthlessness. If our value has always been tied to what we do or how we appear, then without these external markers, we fear we are inherently worthless. The persona promises worth. Its absence threatens to expose a perceived lack of intrinsic value. The terror of the unknown. The void represents uncertainty, a state beyond the familiar and predictable. Our persona gives us a sense of control and predictability in social interactions. Without it, we feel exposed, vulnerable, and unsure of how to behave or who to be. This existential uncertainty can be deeply unsettling. The fear of social invisibility or irrelevance. In a society that often equates worth with visibility, status, or contribution, the idea of having no persona can feel like becoming invisible, irrelevant, or utterly forgotten. We fear fading into obscurity if we are not constantly on or performing. Overcoming this pervasive fear requires a radical shift in perspective, recognizing that the void isn't an absence, but a space of immense potential, a return to the true, unconditioned self. It's about understanding that your true essence doesn't depend on any role, title, or external validation. Finding freedom and peace in the nothingness, in a positive sense, involves several key realizations and practices. Dismantling the illusion of identity. The first step is to consciously challenge the belief that your persona is who you are. Understand that your roles are temporary garments you wear, not your inherent skin. You are the consciousness that observes the CEO, the parent, the friend. You are not defined solely by those roles. This involves a sustained practice of self-inquiry. If I stripped away all my titles, all my achievements, all my relationships, who would I be? The answer is not nobody, but rather your unchanging true self. Embracing intrinsic worth. Shift your understanding of self-worth from external validation to intrinsic value. You are worthy simply because you exist. Your worth is not earned, it is innate. This profound realization liberates you from the endless striving and performance that characterize the persona. It means accepting yourself fully, imperfections and all, knowing that your value is unconditional. This is the antidote to the fear of worthlessness, finding freedom in presence. The void, when approached with mindfulness, reveals itself not as emptiness but as pure presence. When the mind is not grasping at external identities or roles, it settles into the spaciousness of the present moment. This is where true peace resides. Without the need to perform or impress, you are simply being. This state of pure awareness, free from the ego's incessant commentary and demands, is profoundly liberating. It is the experience of the true self as pure consciousness, redefining success and meaning. For many, the fear of no persona is tied to a conventional definition of success. Breaking free involves redefining what a meaningful life looks like for you, aligning it with your true self's desires rather than societal expectations. The retired CEO might discover that their true passion lies in mentoring young entrepreneurs, spending time with family, or pursuing a long-neglected hobby. Their meaning is no longer derived from their corporate title but from authentic contribution and personal fulfillment. Cultivating a strong inner anchor. When the external anchors of the persona dissolve, you need a strong internal anchor. This is built through consistent spiritual practices like meditation, mindfulness, and connecting with nature. These practices reinforce the understanding that your security and happiness come from within, from your connection to your true self, rather than from external roles or achievements. You realize that your inner peace is portable and accessible, regardless of your external circumstances. Trusting the process of unfolding. The journey through the void requires immense trust. Trust that something new and more authentic will emerge from the apparent emptiness. Just as a seed must lose its form in the soil before it can sprout into a plant, we must allow our old personas to dissolve to make way for our true growth. This involves embracing the discomfort of not knowing, having faith in the wisdom of the universe, and trusting that your true self will guide you. Consider the powerful example of someone who experiences a profound spiritual awakening that fundamentally shakes their materialist persona. They might have been consumed by consumerism, status symbols, and keeping up appearances. After their awakening, these things lose their allure. They might feel a void where those desires once were, a sense of having lost their old motivations. This can be disorienting. However, if they lean into this void, they discover it is not empty, but filled with a new sense of purpose, a deeper appreciation for simple joys, and a profound connection to the spiritual realm. The void wasn't an end. It was a necessary clearing, a space for the true self to breathe and flourish without the suffocating demands of the old persona. They might simplify their life, shed possessions, and dedicate themselves to service, finding far greater fulfillment than their old persona ever imagined. Ultimately, facing the void is an invitation to experience true freedom. It's the liberation from the constant need to prove, to perform, or to be someone you're not. It's the profound relief of dropping the mask and discovering that the face beneath is not empty, but vibrant, radiant, and whole. The nothingness is simply the absence of all that is not you, revealing the boundless presence of who you truly are. By consciously navigating this challenging phase, we solidify our connection to our true self and prepare for the deeper spiritual awakening that follows, a transformation that allows us to live in alignment with our highest purpose. This continuous process of becoming whole, by integrating all aspects of ourselves, leads directly into the concept of spiritual awakening, which transcends the simple act of shedding masks and becomes a profound shift in consciousness. Having faced the void and begun to dismantle the restrictive confines of the persona, we now approach a profound and transformative phase of our journey: spiritual awakening. This is not merely a philosophical concept or a fleeting emotional experience. It's a deep, fundamental shift in consciousness, a radical reorientation from living primarily through the egoic persona to being primarily guided by the expansive wisdom of the true self. It's a process of becoming whole, integrating all fragmented aspects of our being, and realizing our inherent connection to something far greater than ourselves. Imagine a person who has spent their entire life believing they are a small, isolated boat tossed by the waves of circumstance on a vast, indifferent ocean. Their persona is their identity as this struggling vessel. A spiritual awakening is like realizing, suddenly and undeniably, that they are not just the boat, but also the ocean itself, infinite, interconnected, and powerful. This realization shifts their entire perception of self and reality, dissolving the illusion of separateness and revealing their boundless nature. The old persona, while still present for navigating the physical world, loses its absolute hold, giving way to a profound sense of inner peace, purpose, and universal connection. A spiritual awakening often begins with a catalyst. This can be a profound life crisis, a severe illness, the loss of a loved one, a significant career setback, or a deep existential question that shakes the foundations of one's existing worldview. For some, it might be a sudden, mystical experience, like a vivid dream or an out-of-body encounter. For others, it's a gradual unfolding, a gentle but persistent call from within, often initiated by consistent meditation, mindfulness, or deep introspection. Regardless of the trigger, the common thread is a growing discomfort with the old ways of being, a feeling that there must be more to life than this. The signs and stages of a spiritual awakening are varied, but often include increased sensitivity and awareness. You begin to notice subtle energies, intuitive nudges, and synchronicities in your life. Your senses might feel heightened, and you become more aware of your own emotions and those of others. This sensitivity can initially be overwhelming as you shed the protective numbness of the persona. Discomfort with old patterns and relationships. What once brought joy or comfort now feels hollow or inauthentic. You might find yourself naturally pulling away from people, activities, or environments that no longer resonate with your emerging authentic self. This can be challenging, as it often means letting go of familiar structures and even some relationships. A deep sense of inquiry and quest for meaning. The superficial answers of life no longer suffice. You develop a profound curiosity about philosophical, spiritual, and existential questions. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is truth? This drive often leads you to explore ancient wisdom, mystical traditions, and spiritual texts. Heightened empathy and compassion. As you connect more deeply with your true self, you realize your interconnectedness with all beings. This naturally fosters a profound sense of empathy, compassion, and a desire to contribute positively to the world. The self-centeredness of the egoic persona begins to dissolve, experiencing oneness or interconnectedness. This is a hallmark of spiritual awakening. Moments of profound clarity where you feel an undeniable sense of unity with nature, with humanity, or with the divine. The illusion of separation begins to crumble, replaced by a feeling of belonging to a vast, loving cosmos. A shift in priorities and values. Material possessions, social status, and external validation, which were once central to the persona's agenda, lose their importance. Your values shift towards authenticity, contribution, love, peace, and inner fulfillment. This often leads to significant life changes, career shifts, changes in lifestyle, or a renewed focus on spiritual practices. Increased intuition and psychic experiences. As your consciousness expands, your intuitive abilities sharpen. You might experience more vivid dreams, stronger gut feelings, or even fleeting moments of clairvoyance or telepathy. Your sixth sense becomes a more reliable guide. Periods of dark night of the soul. Spiritual awakening is not always blissful. It often involves periods of profound emotional purging, existential doubt, and intense discomfort as old wounds surface and limiting beliefs are challenged. This dark night is a necessary crucible for transformation, a process of shedding what no longer serves. The core of spiritual awakening is the shift from living according to persona to living according to self. The persona operates from fear, seeking external validation, control, and survival in the material world. The self operates from love, inherent worth, trust in the universe, and a profound sense of purpose. This shift is not about destroying the persona entirely, but about recalibrating it so that it becomes a conscious tool, used when necessary, but always subservient to the wisdom and guidance of the true self. The persona becomes less of a fixed mask and more of a flexible, adaptable garment worn with awareness. For example, imagine a person driven by chronic guilt and a need to constantly apologize, adopting a persona of meekness and self-effacement. This might stem from early childhood experiences of being blamed or shamed. Through spiritual awakening, perhaps sparked by a meditative retreat, they begin to access their true self, which is inherently worthy and innocent. They realize the guilt is not intrinsic to them, but a learned pattern. This realization doesn't mean they stop apologizing when genuinely wrong, but they stop apologizing for their mere existence. They shed the meek persona and cultivate a gentle assertiveness, speaking their truth with compassion, no longer fearing judgment. Their actions are now driven by authentic self-respect and love, not by a desperate need to appease others. This journey also involves a deep connection with a higher purpose or the meaning of life. As the ego's grip loosens, the true self begins to remember its unique contribution to the world. This purpose is often not about achieving something grand in a conventional sense, but about embodying specific qualities, serving others from a place of authenticity, or simply radiating love and compassion. This sense of purpose feels inherently joyful and deeply fulfilling, anchoring the awakened individual in a meaning that transcends personal gain. It's a realization that their life is part of a larger divine plan, and their true happiness lies in aligning with that plan. The process of spiritual awakening is fundamentally about wholeness. It's the integration of all parts of ourselves, the light and the shadow, the masculine and the feminine, the logical and the intuitive, the human and the divine. It's the conscious merging of the persona's functional adaptability with the true self's boundless wisdom. When we achieve this wholeness, we are no longer fragmented, battling against ourselves. Instead, we become unified, radiating a powerful, coherent energetic frequency that attracts experiences and relationships that are in perfect alignment with our authentic truth. This coherence leads to a profound sense of inner peace, joy, and resilience, making us a beacon for others on their own awakening journeys. This integration and balance are crucial, as we will explore in the next section, highlighting the practical art of harmonizing our inner and outer worlds. Having journeyed through the profound process of spiritual awakening and the realization of our true self, we arrive at a critical practical understanding. The goal is not to entirely abandon the persona, but to harmonize it with the self. Life demands interaction, roles, and a degree of social presentation. The challenge lies not in eliminating the mask, but in consciously choosing which mask to wear, when to wear it, and ensuring it remains a conscious tool that serves our authentic being, rather than a rigid prison that traps our true essence. This delicate balance between our inner truth and our outer expression is the art of authentic living. Imagine a skilled diplomat. They must be adept at navigating complex international relations, understanding cultural nuances, and projecting an image of calm authority and trustworthiness. This is their professional persona, meticulously crafted for their role. Yet, when they return home, they shed this formal demeanor to be a loving parent, a passionate hobbyist, or a vulnerable friend. The diplomat isn't being fake in either role. They are demonstrating flexibility in persona, consciously adapting their external presentation while remaining anchored in their core values and integrity. Their professional persona isn't a disguise, but a functional extension of their authentic desire to contribute positively to global peace, allowing their inner wisdom to be expressed effectively in the outer world. This example illustrates a crucial point. The objective is not to eliminate persona completely, but to use it consciously. In a complex society, some degree of social adaptation is necessary. We cannot walk into every situation completely unfiltered and expect harmonious interactions. A doctor needs a professional persona to instill trust. A teacher needs an authoritative yet compassionate persona to guide students. And even a child learns to use a polite persona when interacting with adults. The issue isn't the existence of personas, but when they become rigid, unconscious, and overshadow our true self. The key to harmonization lies in developing conscious awareness and intentionality regarding our personas. Instead of reacting to social cues by automatically defaulting to a conditioned mask, we pause and ask, what is the appropriate and authentic way for me to show up in this situation while remaining true to my values? Is this persona serving my highest good, or is it merely protecting an old fear? How can I express my true self through this role, rather than suppressing it? This intentionality transforms the persona from a rigid prison into a flexible instrument. Creating a persona that reflects the self authentically and positively is a profound act of self-mastery. It means designing an external presentation that is an honest extension of your inner truth, rather than a deviation from it. This involves alignment with core values. Your persona should be a vehicle for expressing your deepest values. If integrity is a core value, then your professional persona should always reflect honesty and ethical conduct. If compassion is your value, your social interactions should radiate genuine empathy. This ensures consistency between your inner and outer worlds. Expression of authentic strengths. Instead of trying to be someone you're not, let your persona highlight your genuine strengths and talents. If you're naturally a good listener, let that be a prominent part of your persona in advisory roles. If you're a natural innovator, let your professional persona reflect that creativity and forward thinking. This authenticity feels effortless and resonates strongly with others. Vulnerability within boundaries. A harmonized persona isn't about constant, unfiltered vulnerability, but about choosing moments to be appropriately vulnerable. This means understanding when and how to share your true feelings, admit mistakes, or ask for help without completely exposing yourself in inappropriate contexts. It's about demonstrating authenticity while maintaining healthy boundaries. For instance, a CEO can be transparent about challenges their company faces without revealing every personal insecurity. Flexibility and adaptability. True authenticity isn't a monolithic, unchanging facade. It's the ability to shift your external presentation gracefully as situations demand, while your inner core remains steady. You might be playful with children, serious in a crisis, empathetic with a grieving friend, and authoritative in a leadership role. This conscious versatility is a hallmark of a harmonized self-persona relationship. You are the same authentic person, but you are expressing different facets of that authenticity as needed. Consider the example of a leader who embodies this balance. They are known for their strong vision and decisive action, a powerful professional persona, but also for their genuine care for their team, their willingness to admit when they don't have all the answers, and their ability to foster an environment of trust. Qualities stemming from their true self. They are not afraid to be vulnerable or empathetic, which ironically makes their leadership more effective and inspiring. Their persona serves their authentic desire to create positive impact, rather than simply seeking power or recognition. Their outer actions are a true reflection of their inner values. The process of harmonizing persona and self is an ongoing, fluid process, not a static achievement. Life continually presents new challenges, new relationships, and new contexts that invite us to refine this balance. It requires continuous self-awareness, regularly checking in with ourselves to ensure our actions and presentations align with our inner truth. Are we feeling authentic or drained? Mindfulness, staying present and observing our internal and external states without judgment. Courage, the courage to shed old, comfortable but inauthentic personas, and the courage to show up as our true selves, even when it feels uncomfortable or carries the risk of not being accepted by everyone. Self-compassion, recognizing that this is a journey with twists and turns, and allowing ourselves grace when we slip back into old patterns. When we successfully harmonize our persona and self, we experience profound benefits. Integrated being. We no longer feel fragmented or at war with ourselves. Our inner and outer worlds are in coherence, leading to a deep sense of peace and wholeness. Authentic relationships. Our relationships become deeper, more fulfilling, and built on trust, as people connect with our genuine selves, not just a facade. Effortless living. The energy previously spent on maintaining inauthentic personas is liberated, leading to greater vitality, creativity, and flow in life. Living authentically feels effortless because we are no longer fighting against our true nature. True power. Our power comes from within, from our alignment with the true self, rather than from external validation or control. This is a sustainable, resilient form of power that is unshakable by external circumstances. Positive impact. When we live authentically, our actions are infused with our unique purpose and values, creating a positive ripple effect in the world around us. We inspire others to find their own truth. The journey of harmonizing the persona and self is, in essence, the journey of true self-mastery. It is the continuous unfolding of our authentic potential, guiding us to live a life not of mere existence, but of conscious intention, profound meaning, and unwavering truth. This lifelong process of self-discovery, growth, and integration is the very essence of living an awakened life, a path we will continually walk, understanding that there is no final destination, only an ongoing unfolding. This leads us to our concluding thoughts, summarizing this extraordinary journey of understanding the masks we wear and the boundless self that lies beneath. As we draw towards the conclusion of our deep exploration into the persona and the true self, it becomes abundantly clear that this profound quest is not a finite destination, but an unfolding, continuous journey. There is no ultimate moment where the self is found and the work is done. Instead, life itself becomes the path, each experience, each challenge, and each relationship serving as a mirror, reflecting new facets of our being and inviting us into deeper layers of self-discovery and integration. This understanding liberates us from the pressure of perfection and instead invites us into the embrace of continuous growth and becoming. Imagine an ancient river, ceaselessly flowing towards the ocean. It encounters rocks, twists through valleys, sometimes surges, sometimes meanders gently. It is constantly changing, yet it remains undeniably the same river, always moving, always adapting, always fulfilling its nature. Our journey of self-discovery is much like this river. We encounter obstacles, challenges, navigate different landscapes, life stages, and experience periods of turbulence and calm. With each experience, we deepen our understanding of our own currents, our own depths, and our own inherent direction. The river doesn't strive to be perfect, it simply flows. Similarly, our true self doesn't strive for an end state. It simply evolves through conscious living. The persona might wish for a fixed identity, a stable bank. But the self understands that its very nature is fluid and dynamic. This means that the journey of discovering and integrating the self is an ongoing process with no end point. As we evolve, new layers of our being reveal themselves. Old personas might reappear in new contexts, requiring fresh examination and conscious choice. New fears might emerge as we expand into unfamiliar territory. The shadow, once confronted, doesn't disappear forever. Rather, its contents might shift, inviting deeper integration as we mature. Every interaction, every success, and every setback presents an opportunity to refine our authenticity, to strengthen our connection to our true self, and to live more fully in alignment with our purpose. The development of the self occurs through every experience and challenge. Life isn't happening to us, it's happening for us, providing precisely the lessons and opportunities needed for our spiritual evolution. Challenges as catalysts. Difficulties, failures, and crises are often the most potent catalysts for self-discovery. They force us to drop our personas, confront our vulnerabilities, and tap into inner resources we never knew we possessed. A job loss might shatter a career-driven persona, forcing us to redefine success and discover deeper passions. A health crisis might dismantle a persona of invincibility, leading to a profound reevaluation of life's priorities and a deeper connection to our inner resilience. Relationships as mirrors. Our relationships, particularly our most intimate ones, are powerful mirrors reflecting both our authentic self and the lingering remnants of our personas. The dynamics within relationships often highlight our unintegrated shadow aspects, our unconscious fears, and the ways we still try to control or manipulate perceptions. By consciously engaging with these reflections, we learn to communicate more authentically, set healthier boundaries, and cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections rooted in truth, not pretense. Moments of joy and flow. It's not just the difficult times that foster growth. Moments of profound joy, creativity, and flow when we lose track of time and feel completely immersed in an activity are powerful indicators of when we are most aligned with our true self. These moments reinforce what truly energizes us, guiding us towards activities and lifestyles that resonate with our authentic vibration. Learning and reflection. Continuous learning, whether through formal study, reading, or simply observing the world with an open mind, expands our perspective and helps us integrate new understandings of ourselves and reality. Regular reflection, journaling, and mindful inquiry consolidate these learnings, making them a part of our conscious awareness. Living a conscious life, always seeking the truth within, becomes the overarching aim. This means daily practice. Self-discovery isn't reserved for retreats or moments of crisis. It's woven into the fabric of daily life through mindfulness, gratitude, conscious choices, and regular check-ins with our inner state. Asking, "Is this authentic?" becomes a guiding principle. Embracing curiosity. Approaching ourselves and the world with a childlike curiosity, free from judgment. Being open to new information, new perspectives, and new experiences, even if they challenge our established beliefs or comfortable personas. Cultivating resilience. Understanding that setbacks are not failures but opportunities for learning. The true self is inherently resilient. It knows how to adapt, how to heal, and how to continue moving forward even after perceived defeats. Authentic expression. Constantly seeking ways to express our unique talents, gifts, and passions in the world, even in small ways. This outward expression of our inner truth strengthens the connection to our true self and adds vibrant color to our lives. It's about being, doing, and contributing from a place of genuine alignment. Surrender and trust. Learning to surrender to the flow of life. Trusting that the universe is guiding us, even when the path is unclear. This means letting go of the need for rigid control of persona trait and allowing our true self, connected to universal wisdom, to lead the way. It's trusting that our intrinsic worth is enough and that we are supported. Consider the story of an elderly person, looking back on a life filled with twists and turns. They might reflect on how, in their youth, they tried to be what others wanted them to be, the perfect student, the successful professional, the ideal spouse. They might recall moments of profound self-doubt or anxiety, symptoms of their persona's dominance. But as they aged, through losses, triumphs, and quiet moments of reflection, they gradually shed these external expectations. They learned to trust their intuition, to value genuine connections over superficial ones, and to find joy in simple, authentic living. Their wisdom isn't just a collection of facts, but a deep, embodied understanding of who they truly are, forged through every experience. They now exude a peaceful presence, an inner light that comes from a lifetime of aligning with their true self. Their story isn't about their achievements alone, but about the profound journey of becoming themselves, fully and unapologetically. They recognize that every stage, every challenge, every joy was a vital lesson in understanding the deeper dimensions of their own being. The continuous journey of self-discovery is the ultimate adventure. It's a path that promises not an end state of static perfection, but a dynamic, ever-unfolding process of becoming more fully alive, more authentically ourselves, and more deeply connected to the intricate tapestry of existence. It is the realization that the greatest masterpiece we can create is the self, consciously sculpted through the courageous act of living our truth. By embracing this continuous flow, we step into a life of boundless potential, where every moment is an opportunity for growth, every challenge a lesson, and every breath a testament to the vibrant, evolving nature of our true self. This understanding now culminates in our final message, the core takeaway that empowers you to begin, or continue, your own extraordinary journey. We've journeyed deep into the intricate landscape of the human psyche, exploring the multifaceted nature of the persona, the social masks we wear, and the profound essence of the true self that lies beneath. We began by acknowledging the subtle ways we construct these facades, driven by social conditioning and deeply ingrained fears of judgment and rejection. We then delved into the profound consequences of losing ourselves to these external roles, experiencing disconnect, anxiety, and a sense of unfulfillment. Our exploration then shifted to the liberating process of reclaiming our authenticity. We uncovered how ancient philosophies, from the Socratic know thyself to the Taoist flow, have always pointed us inward. We examined how understanding our energetic vibrations empowers us to attract what truly aligns with our authentic frequency, and how the symbolic messages in our dreams offer vital clues from our subconscious. We even touched upon the expansive insights gained from mystical experiences like near-death experiences and soul travel, which shatter the illusion of a purely physical self. We learned that intuition is our inherent sixth sense, a powerful internal compass guiding us toward our truth, and that practices like mindfulness and meditation are essential anchors for remaining present and connected to our true self. Finally, we confronted the primal fear of no persona, the void, and realized it is not an emptiness, but a fertile ground for boundless potential. The ultimate realization from this journey is profoundly simple. True strength and lasting happiness don't reside in perfecting the image we project to the world, but in the courage to dismantle those facades and embrace the magnificent truth of who we inherently are. The goal is not to eliminate the persona entirely, but to harmonize it with your authentic core. To use your external roles as conscious expressions of your inner truth, allowing your actions to flow from a place of genuine alignment, not from a need to impress or conform. This understanding is your most potent tool for transformation. When you dare to shed the weight of inauthenticity, when you choose to listen to the quiet whispers of your true self, you unlock a wellspring of intrinsic power. Your energy becomes clear, magnetic, and resonant, naturally attracting the experiences, relationships, and abundance that truly serve your highest good. You move from a life of mere reaction to one of conscious creation, anchored in a peace that no external circumstance can disrupt. Remember, this path of self-discovery is a continuous journey, a lifelong unfolding. There will be moments of doubt, times when old masks feel tempting, and new layers of understanding will always emerge. Embrace it all with compassion and curiosity. Trust your intuition, cultivate your inner stillness, and above all, have the courage to be unapologetically, authentically you. For in that courageous act, you not only liberate yourself, but also become a beacon, subtly empowering others to embark on their own extraordinary journey of wholeness. The greatest adventure truly lies within.